dreaded flag, a vengeful sea. Be careful what you say. There's always someone listening. The Dutchman tossed on the sea. I swore and the devil heard me. Now we're doomed to sail the 7 seas for eternity. So yo-ho, let the ocean winds blow. The line forever we must flow. We sail through them, cursed and condemned. Yo-ho, let the ocean winds blow. A sinister grin across his face said, you'll be doomed to this place. The devil heard my oath, shame of my boast. Oh, a ghostly ship from the depths, freedom from fear is the only gift of death. Yo-ho, let the ocean winds blow. The line forever we must flow. We sail through them, cursed and condemned. Yo-ho, let the ocean winds blow. If you cast your eyes, you'll join us like those before. We're an omen of the ocean night. When you see the flying Dutchman, it's too late for your soul. To the waters we gave now our breath. Yo-ho, let the ocean winds blow. The line forever we must flow. We sail through them, cursed and condemned. Yo-ho, let the ocean winds
There we go. Welcome to PRT, Paratroopers Impromptu show. I don't know how many people we're going to get on here. We've been getting messed with pretty hard. So, yeah. Lots of people getting unsubscribed, and then we're getting people being told by our audience that they're not getting their notifications when we're going live.
Yeah, and some people are saying that they can't participate in the live chat for whatever reason, and that they're Patreon subscribers, and that I've looked into it, and I don't, y'all's names aren't on the block list, so I don't know. I'll double check and be thorough about it. But we want all y'all to be here with us. Just trust me, it's not for lack of trying. I don't know why some of y'all just can't seem to be a part of the live chat, but we'll get it fixed, whatever it takes.
Yeah. So tonight, what ended up happening, we came up here for a business meeting that didn't materialize. And don't even want to talk about that. So we're up here, and we're right here by the studio, and we have to work in a couple of hours. So instead of going back out to the ranch, we said, you know what, might as well stay in town, and let's do the show. So that's what we're doing. So we got a lot of information to go over. And we got a ton of stuff to talk about. Oh my gosh, dude. So first thing I wanted to talk about before we get started, because we're waiting for people to get into the chat. Like I said, I don't know how many people are going to show up. I have no idea. But if your name is not in green, the way to make it be in green, and I'll tell you why that's important, is it's $5. And it helps support the show, and it gives you a membership. Now, the only thing we offer you with the membership is the opportunity to win the giveaway. And we do the giveaway every episode. We give away 3 things. We've been doing that for a while, every episode. And so if you want to win with the giveaway, it's $5. And so that's all you got to do. And then you can, be entered into the contest to win. And we're giving away a bunch of stuff. Still giving away shirts, hoodies. We don't know we don't have an ETA for that. We're trying to we're waiting for those. Okay. And I have not had time. We have so much work right now. I have not had time. What's up, Chris? How you doing? I have not had time to scratch my head. It's crazy because we have so much work, and it's Christmas time. And so starting this weekend, or now, today, and straight through until the end of the year, we're just going to be slammed with work. But there's a lot of things up in the air right now, and this is a very stressful time for us right now. Very stressful. I would say this is probably one of the most stressful times of my entire life. Okay. And people say, well, there's Sonic says, how are you, Wolf? I'm good. I'm sorry. A lot of people messaged me because I made a Facebook post the other day, and so I got about 30 messages on there from people asking, just frustrated, just very frustrated. I'm not going to get into these people or what, but let's just say there are some stupid people in this world that actually believe, okay, that I had something to do with this man getting in trouble with CPS. It had nothing to do with us. Nothing. Okay. And there are dumbass people who are going around, he's going to go to jail for what? I did nothing. Okay. And so, yeah. And yeah, my wife, she was being honest. We had to go to the FBI. And we really actually did that. We went and we had a talk with them. And we are giving everything over to them and let them deal with it. Let them sort it out. We have nothing to hide. We did nothing wrong. So this guy has painted a picture. It's like if you get in trouble and then you go and tell everybody, oh, you know what? I didn't really do what they said. It was a conspiracy. The people who are that I'm blaming for the conspiracy, they're going to get in trouble. They're going to go to jail. I'm not going to jail. They didn't, no.
Yeah, you're pretty stupid if you believe that someone else can go to jail for someone's kid being taken away by
That
CPS.
has nothing to do with us. All you can do is say, hey, whatever, give the advice or whatever it was, and then it's not up to you. You have no control over it. But this guy is a little troll, but he's clever. He's a clever little troll, and he was, I guess, but how clever do you have to be to fool hillbillies? I mean, to fool rednecks. I mean, and I'm not, my family on my dad's side in particular are a bunch of hillbillies. Okay, I'm not cracking on hillbillies, but I'm talking like these are some dumb people. They're really dumb. I mean, you have to be really, really dumb to actually believe this stuff. So, no, what this little troll is doing and saying isn't going to work. They're putting all their hopes when the LBL cosplayer didn't pan out as their leader or whatever. And, everything is a gamble. They thought, well, there's enough opposition now. We'll join them and together we can rule, this small little niche of paranormal cryptid. So what? Even if you did, what would it matter? In the big scheme of things, there's like a lot of stuff out there. And what does it matter? But I matter a lot to these people. Apparently, I matter a whole lot to these people. The reason I bring this up, folks, is because I'm being cursed again. I'm going to be cursed. One of my friends is psychic, and she has told me that they're preparing another curse that has already been. 4 of them have been thrown at me. 4 of these have been thrown at me, and they're preparing another one. Apparently, for Christmas, they're going to give me a curse, another one. So she says that's what they're really doing. I have no idea. I don't know. I'm just saying this is what she says is going to happen. I'm not losing sleep over it. I can tell you that. The other curses didn't really work. I guess they gave me some high uric acid levels, and I had some extreme pain.
We've been cursed with success otherwise.
But now
it's not easy.
So thanks.
It's not easy being, you're right, we are cursed. It's not easy being successful, more successful than you in every aspect, being superior to you in every way imaginable, being taller than you, stronger than you, smarter than you, thinner than you, better than you in every way. It's a curse. A curse with succeeding and exceeding. It's a big responsibility, and it's stressful. It is a curse. You're right. We are very cursed with having so much because we work so with having to work so hard. It sucks having to work hard to earn things. I don't want to have to earn things. I wish I could have been just born into wealth, but we're cursed to be working men. So you're right. Yeah, I guess your curses have been working. You've been cursing us with the burden of working and having nice things and earning our way through life and having 209 people here with us to on an unannounced impromptu live stream. I mean, it's a large burden to bear, but luckily we're stronger than you. See that? Look at that. Yeah. See, can you do that? No, you can't do that. We're strong enough to bear that burden, but you're not. So
one of them is so weak, literally on triceps. Okay, we'll call this man Stay Fluff Marshmallow. I do, and Anthony can attest, as anybody who's worked out with me, including cosplayer, he's been there. He worked out with me, and so did Stay Fluff. I do 600 reps just on triceps. So while I'm doing the pull down, this man with literally half the weight that I do, 600 reps. I do 10 tricep exercises, 60 reps. Okay. This man was so weak, he couldn't do one pull down, one tricep pull down. And then the cosplayer, he's old,
yeah,
and he's weak, and he nearly died. I'm not joking. We thought we were going to have to call the EMS. This is an absolute truth, folks.
Mm-hmm.
But yet he's swinging 10-pound swords, and he's going to kill Dogman. I think you need to stop before you kill over. Don't do this, And he, you know, he's been going around saying, you know, oh, you're not saying it to me, you know, because when I was there, you didn't say nothing. Why would I? We were friends, and you come to visit me. Why am I? Now that you're here, let's fight. You came all the way from whatever, you know. Let's just throw down now. Now that you're here, let's duke it out. Let's see who can win. Let's see who can win in a fight. Because that's what you do with your friends.
Yeah.
And like Abe said, me and Abe were on his channel, and we were like, who wants to fight you, dude? We're not running scared, you know. I mean, there's some crazy stuff. They say some crazy things, folks. If you want to laugh, it's a laugh a minute, the stuff that they come up with. I don't even say anything. I just repost what they say, and I put it on there on PRT News, and we just laugh. The whole community's laughing at you, dudes and girls, dudettes, because there's some dudettes in there too. The Kool-Aid woman wanted me to do a story on Dobie the house elf or whatever, and now mad because it didn't happen. Ooh, they're mad. They get so mad. But you know, we're into real stories here, not bullshit. You know, so that's the problem, and they're mad, and then you know they mass report my channel like crazy, which has suppressed. So this is what YouTube told us. YouTube, we got on there with YouTube, and YouTube said, well, you haven't done as many live streams as you usually do. So that kills our sub count. I'm like, how does that kill? That makes no sense because we're doing more pre-records. Mm-hmm. So here we are. We're going to do more live streams. And now YouTube, come on now. You know, here it is. We got plenty of stuff. We just don't have the time to do it because it's a million things going on in my life. I have a lot going on in my life. Folks, as God is my witness, I don't have time to sit here and dwell on other people. Especially one person, like one man makes you that mad. It's a derangement syndrome. It's like with Trump. They're like, so yeah, I will scream and yell, and I will curse him, and you know, and then they claim to be such Christians, but yet they have people throwing curses at me and stuff. What are you doing? I thought you were Christians. And then one of them was like, I just wanted to check to see if you know, this one, I'm not gonna say the guy's name, his handle, but the guy ended up in a mental institution. He got arrested in the UK because he threatened to kill several women.
That'll do it.
He threatened to kill Deborah Hatzell. He threatened to kill my wife. He threatened to kill Krista and Brandy. He threatened to kill a bunch of people. And so he got arrested. And then this guy's like, I just want to check on him to make sure he's okay, that PRT didn't make him unalive himself. He's not okay. No, absolutely, he's not okay. And PRT did not make him unalive himself, nor did PRT make this guy do what he did to get his children taken out of his home. We didn't have shit to do with that. So you can shit in one hand and one in the other and see which one you get first.
Maybe, just maybe, y'all are all just really crazy and out of your minds. How about that?
And I have absolutely no fear, zero fear of going to jail for any of this shit because I didn't do anything. I don't lose sleep over it because it didn't happen. I mean, there you go. There's a comment right there. So that's it. You know, we're waiting to get some people in here, folks, right? That's it. And see, franchise says always drama. Yeah, there's always drama because there's always people that start it. They live for it. They thrive on it. There's nothing that you can do. And if you want to get snarky, we're just going to delete that right there. How about that? Say something else. Now, you're going to get mad and go, rah, 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 I hate that guy because he deleted my comment.
Mm-hmm.
You would be
going to run to Reddit,
doing and saying a lot more if you were me. Folks, I swear to you, I promise you, I don't like to swear, but I promise you there's a lot more I could be saying and doing right now about these people. You have no clue how deranged and actually scary. They're scary. These people they're borderline terrorists. I mean, you would not believe the stuff that they've done and the stuff that they do. And not just to me, they've done it to others too. I just try to ignore it, but sometimes it gets to the point where it's like, you've had enough, you know, but we're not going to entertain it. All I want is prayers. If you could, please be so kind. I'm begging, I'm asking for prayers. Please pray that these people's curses, and it goes back to them, because that would be the biggest lesson of all right there. If their curses that they keep flinging at us would go back to them and affect them the way that they want it to affect us. I'm not going to throw a curse on somebody because I don't do that. And please don't do it either. Just pray against it. That's it. Pray that no curse will hurt me or my household or my show or our animals or our land or our businesses or any of our anything. And it just rolls off of us like water on a duck's back, because we need protection from God. That's it right now. I'm going to say a quick prayer, and then we're going to get started. We have a lot to talk about. Father, I pray unto you in the name of Christ. I come unto you as your humble servant. I'm a sinner, and I've committed many sins. I've done a lot of things that weren't correct. I've made mistakes. I confess these sins to you. I've done things. And Lord God, I ask you to forgive me and help me to be a better person. Please come into my heart and re-cleanse me and do what needs to be done. Lord God, help me to become a better man and a better leader and a listener. Please help me to listen to the people that need to be heard. Lord God, help the people that need to listen to me to listen, open their ears, open their hearts. And please, any curses that come towards us, may we rebuke them right now in the name of Jesus. I plead the blood of Jesus over myself and everyone associated with me and all of the things that we have, everything that we're associated and affiliated with, Lord God, may it be protected from these people and their curses and their foul thoughts and evil deeds. And may it return to them, the senders. And Lord God, forgive these people, Lord, please, and touch their heart that they change. I don't wish ill or hurt on anyone. In the name of Jesus, I pray, Lord Almighty, your will be done. Amen. Simple as that. If you're not a Christian, you don't believe in Christ, totally fine. I get it. You know, we're not here to do a Bible sermon. What is
I'll
that?
go check it out.
Well, don't go outside. But we're not here to do a Bible sermon. We're not here to do anything. Okay? We're only here to talk about what needs to be talked about. But I do approach everything from an angle of my faith in Christ. Something?
No, I didn't see anyone.
Yeah. Got to be careful, man. There's a lot of weird stuff going on out here. There's beef, not with us, but our neighbor over here apparently has beef with some people or something, and we were given the heads up, and so I'm like, they better not come here because we're not a part of it. Sorry that this person, apparently that person was supposed to do some work, but the guy collapsed. Actually, pray for him. He's one of our lawyers. He was at work and he collapsed on Tuesday, and he's in the hospital. So, and these people are mad because he can't fulfill what he was supposed to fulfill. Well, he nearly died. He's real bad diabetic. So they're like talking about they're going to do something, you know, whatever. I mean, like I said, not to us, you know, but I don't want to be collateral damage because they're mad at him. So if you could just pray for that individual, that he gets well. He's not a bad person. He's helped us. He got attacked by these people. They tried to say he was disbarred and all kinds of other craziness, but he can't now. He's ill. He's no longer our lawyer because he's not able to. He's barely able to practice right now. But if you could pray for him, he's been a friend of mine for several years. He's an older gentleman, you know, and he's worked his whole life. And he's got children and grandchildren. But some people don't understand. They don't care about circumstances or whatever else. And like I said, it's not about me or anything we've done. So we're just got to be a little bit careful. You give me a drink.
Yeah.
Do we have any? What do we have?
I think
Surprise me. Whatever we got. It's easier for him to get out than me because I got to go through all this, whatever. So they got the good spot over there. We should change. We should turn it. I'll be on that side. Make it easier. Thank you. Appreciate that. So here's what's crazy. There's a guy named Otis. I have two stories. One is a guy, his name is Randy, and he saw something out here in the woods close by. He gave me his story, and I thought this is a good one. It's not a long, drawn out story, but it would scare the living shit out of me if it was me. I mean, because there's certain places where you want to break down. You're just like, oh, this sucks. Oh, and then there's places where you would break down and you're like, oh crap, this really sucks because ain't nobody driving by and I'm not going to get any help. And then to top it off, he's in an area where he's got no cell phone service. Now, granted, he's an Aggie. I'll say that. Randy is a good guy. I like Randy. I've known him for years. I went to middle school with him. I didn't go to high school with him. Went to different high schools, but went to middle school with him. And he's friends with one of my goofy cousins, let's put it that way. And he says, man, I got a story to tell you. And but he's real subconscious about the way he talks. I think you talk perfectly fine. Every now and then he has a little bit of a stutter, but you do too.
Yeah.
And you make it work. But I was like,
I don't care.
He's a little bit self-conscious, but his brother is brutal. He used to pick.
Oh, his brother mocks him a lot.
His brother is just terrible. When we were kids, I went over there for a sleepover. I wasn't like, when I was little, I wasn't the most popular kid, but I got invited to all the parties and sleepovers and stuff. And Anthony, I got people say that, like, these people are talking this crap. I got friends that are still my friends from grade school.
You got a lot of lifelong friends.
I have lifelong friends, and I'm still friends with their parents and their brothers and sisters and their families. So I got invited to all the sleepovers and stuff. So I went to this sleepover over there in Thorndale, and it's right outside of Thorndale, and we're out in the country. Little did we know that it really is stuff out there.
Yeah.
And his uncle, we called him Booger. His uncle Booger told us, he's like, there's Bigfoot out there. I said, yeah, my great uncles are always talking. I don't believe you. And he's like, so he scared the crap out of us. He went up into a tree house and started throwing little rocks at us. And we're like, on the trampoline, you see a rock and you're like, where'd that come from? Well, the tree house was on the other side of the fence. So it was, because they had 4 acres of property, but they had part of it was a privacy fence because they had a swimming pool and they had a trampoline. So it was fun to go out there. So I was out there at Randy's place, and so he had we don't know. We don't know what it is exactly. I mean, he had some sort of encounter, and it happened 6 months ago. 6 months ago. No, it wouldn't be. June was not 6 months. How many months ago was that? 8? No, wait, I'm sorry.
June?
6. It was 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Probably 6 months ago. Whatever, folks. I'm, brain is not. So he messaged me through my other goofy cousin, and he says, you remember Randy we went to school? Yeah, I know Randy. He's a crazy guy. And he says, well, he's got a story to tell you. And I thought, oh, this is fun, because just a year ago, I made a post and he made fun of me. He put a big laughy emoji, and I was, who's laughing at this? Because it's for the show, right? So, I went up there and I looked and I found him on there. And so we're not even friends on Facebook because he's like Rusty Shackelford, right? Or what is it? He does. I believe to a degree in conspiracies, but I don't think that we need to be Rusty Shackelford. You know what I mean? Like, he's kind of that guy. And don't get me started, Randy. You're going to say something smart. But you didn't believe until this happened to you. All right. And you're 47 or 48 years old. And finally something happened. And his son, Dwayne, he was just dying laughing because Dwayne had an incident near Apache Pass. Now, this guy lived down the other side of Thorndale, in between Thorndale and Lexington, way up in there,
Yeah.
And so when we were kids, he went to the private school with us for a little while, and then he got homeschooled. And so I always thought maybe that's why he was socially inept. I'm kidding. But his brother, Brooks, was a horrible guy. He was terrible. Turned me upside down and shook my allowance out of my pants, dude, onto the trampoline and dropped me on my head. What? And then when I tried to grab the money, he started kicking it off the trampoline. And then later on that evening, I saw him out there with a flashlight, grabbing it with his friend. And of course, him and Marcus probably would have beat the crap out of me if I'd have went out there. Finally, I challenged him one day. I was really aggravated. So I went out there and I said something to him, and I was like maybe 13. Brooks was like 17. That fight lasted about 2 seconds. Lucky for me, he threw one punch and then just put me in a headlock and then did some WWE stuff on me. And, you know, he hung out with this guy, Marcus, this one black guy we grew up with. They were so mean. They were so mean. And then you see them now and they're like, hey, man, what's up? You know, you're like good friends and you're like,
Kids are mean, dude.
Mean as hell, dude. But now Randy was a little jerk too. I mean, he shot his brother in the testicular area with a BB gun. Yeah. So I mean, he did a lot of things too. He was not a nice guy. And one time when I was over there, I was staying the weekend. Get this. They what's his face? Randy and my other friend John. They locked me and his brother out of the house. We were out there jumping on a trampoline. And he actually did know how to wrestle. Like he went to high school and he became a wrestler like his brother, right? And went on to college to become a collegiate wrestler, but he tore up something in his back real bad, Brooks. And so he was showing me these wrestling moves and stuff, you know, and we would play on the trampoline and stuff. And it was cool because we would move the trampoline. This was real safe. We'd move the trampoline and we'd jump real high into the water, into the pool. And one day, this one kid came over, and it was a little sleepover, and he missed.
Oh, no.
This kid named Danny, and it was like, ooh.
Ruined it for everybody.
Not good. Broke both of his legs. And we were sad for about 10 minutes, and then, well, sucks. He was going to the hospital. Okay, we kept playing and did it.
Ruined our fun, kid.
His parents like, don't do that. Don't be jumping. They pushed the trampoline across the yard. Then as soon as they left, we just pushed it right back and kept doing it. Nobody stopped.
Yeah.
Because we were ignorant as Gen Xers, you know. Gen Xers, we didn't care. We weren't like, we were just like, damn, well, survival of the fittest. That kid's out. Let's keep going, you know. But it didn't matter. We were just like, one kid's down, next up in line. It's like Lord of the Flies. But his brother, I remember his brother was a very, he was aggressive, mean kid, blonde-haired guy, you know, and just mean as hell. And so, but he was one of the first people that taught me how to box a little bit, taught me how to fight. He could fight. Mm-hmm. And so then I got a taste for like being able to like fight back, you know? And so I thought, you know what? So that's what he did after he beat me up when I was 13. He started me, you know, on learning how to fight a little bit. And then I learned from Daniel Robles, the guy I saw the Dogman with. His dad was a boxer and he taught us in the backyard. He had a ring and everything. And so I just got beat up a lot. You know, and you say something smart mouth and somebody punches you in the face at the Circle K, and then you okay, I don't like that. I don't like that. Let's. And so then one day you punch somebody and it works out for you, and you're like, well, let's do some more of that. I like that. That works. That's kind of how you learn. But so he was the way he was, but his brother was out hunting hogs with one of my cousins out there near on the other side of Thorndale. And they came across something that I believe was a Bigfoot. That's what I think it was. And that's a story for another time because I'm still trying to get my cousin. When he comes back from Casper, Wyoming, I'm going to get that story from him. Now, you got to understand something. All my cousins are cowboys. Am I joking?
No.
They're almost 90% of them are cowboys. And these people talking about, oh, I'm a country boy, blah, 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 blah. So am I. In fact, I live on a ranch now. Okay. You know, I split time between that and the city. And I couldn't be happier because that's my roots. That's where I came from. It was the country. All right. We're going to do some videos and be taking some pictures and stuff. And we're going to show you some of our cattle. We're getting some cattle in. And it's going to be nice because that was what I wanted to do for a long time, was go back to the land. And I couldn't be happier. You know, it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of getting back to where we need to be. But, yeah, that's where we are. And so these people that talk about me like I'm some city slicking whatever, but then the city people here, and Anthony can attest to this, they call me a country bumpkin.
Yeah.
They're always like, oh, you're from the country. You're a country. When we were talking about the riots and talking about it on Facebook, some douchebag goes, you're from the sticks. What do you know? I'm like, because I'm here and I saw what happened. Yeah, but you're from Taylor. You're from Rockdale or wherever, out in the woods. You live in the country. What are you? Once again, I'm here. And then the people from the country, that they're not the ones around here. Everybody from here knows me, but these people from the country, from other states and stuff like that, they're like, he's not a country boy because he don't talk like this. He don't talk like he's ignorant as food. No, I don't. I really don't. So, yeah, exactly. National alert.
Why do people take him seriously and not me?
Stereotypes, and they stereotype you, and so they say that this is who you are. Well, I'm both, and I'm also mixed. I have mixed heritage. Now, I won't say mixed race because it's really not two different races. There's really only three races, but I am of mixed heritage. And so, some people will call me a country boy. Some people call me a city boy. My city friends that are born and raised in the city, they call me a country. When that guy Big Country was when he was fighting, oh my gosh, dude. I was called that more times than I could count. Hey, Big Country. And now it's, Big Tex, whatever, when I was out of state. And so they have classified me all kinds of things, but the fact of the matter is this. I don't look at myself as being one or the other. I'm both, and I'm very proud to have lived my life with both, and I'm proud to be mixed heritage. I mean, I've learned what I don't like about both sides. Right? I mean, you get to know it.
Yeah.
So when I began my journey with these guys that I grew up with, dude, I'm still friends with Max Leindecker. I was talking to him the other day. Shout out to him. He's living up in Fort Worth. He's from Thorndale. Just like all of us, we all grew up together, and we saw some weird things. And we would all hang out and play together, whatever, as kids, teenagers, whatever. And some of us didn't make it. Max's brother was murdered. My friend Bradley Barron, he passed away. You look at the people who you grew up with and you think you're going to be together forever and be friends or whatever, and it doesn't work out. My friend Michael, when we were kids, I remember football practice going in and they sat us down and they told us that he had passed away. I already knew because, Michael Piskey, John Michael Piskey. It was a sad thing because his mother went to school with my mom. My mom and they were going to Mansfield Business School. My mom was getting her degree in accounting. And, I was like in 7th grade or something like that. And it's sad because he died in a car wreck. And they had to sit there and tell us, that John had died, So, I learned at an early age, and a lot of those people are from that same area. There was a lot of people that passed away. It's very sad. Paul Hinestrosa, Daniel Robles' first cousin, he passed away. It was tragic. Dying very young, these people. We were running around in a Suzuki Samurai, going way too fast, and then the next week in that very same Suzuki Samurai, turns out those are very dangerous vehicles.
Oh yeah, they flip.
He was over there doing off-roading, doing all kinds of stuff. That could have been me in that vehicle, and then he passed away. But yeah, so you have all these people who passed away that didn't make it, So you should thank God that you're still here on this earth and you survived. But, as Gen Xers, we lived life differently, So here's one, my friend Randy. And, I don't know what, like he always was kind of like the skeptic, no matter what. We went and investigated a place called the old Kennedy place, was haunted out there near Copeland. And there was a bunch of us out there. It was like 6 of us. And we had like some girls with us, and the girls were scared and, running back to the cars and stuff. And we were staying in there. Nothing happened to me. I walked out of the house, but then Randy heard a noise that was reminiscent of somebody like kind of groaning. I wouldn't say moaning, but like groaning, like they were in pain. And old man Kennedy had been shot by old man Ossie because he thought that he was having an affair with his wife. Turned out she was having an affair with someone else. It's a true story. It happened like back in 1966. So my dad lived in that house where the old man Ossie had shot the other guy. So everybody would claim that they would see this guy, old man Kennedy, walking, people would see him. And they said if you go at certain times of the year, you could see a man come out of the house and disappear. I interviewed probably a dozen people who saw that phenomenon. Me, sadly, I never saw it. Now, we did go. We're going to take you to a few places with Paranormal Roundtable. We're going to go to the old Copeland Inn, and we're going to show you some stuff, and we're going to go and take you around. And, that's in that same area. And people claim to see Dogman down in that holler down there, and it's a very haunted place. But, okay, so what happened with Randy, and I'm going to tell you this, and then we're going to get into another story. Randy had the misfortune, and I'm not bagging, okay, but I will not buy an electric car, okay? So he has one of those cars that's like a hybrid, I guess, or something. Like it has gas. And
well, hybrid's smart, but not an electric car.
But so what happened was he ran out of gas, but the electric part didn't save him.
Kind of defeats the purpose.
So I don't know the whole ins and outs. I just know that his wife was making fun of him. His girlfriend was making fun of him on the phone and was like, "Yeah, because you let him talk you into buying that car." And of course, he's a devout country boy. He doesn't want to know people. He's embarrassed people to know that he bought a hybrid car. I said, "Well, I'm going to tell everybody you bought an electric car." And he got mad, but he didn't. He bought a hybrid, and he said he didn't even think nothing. That's what he claimed. He didn't think nothing of it. Knowing though how he is, he probably wanted to save money on gas. Because when we were kids, he would go to lunch and not eat so he could save his lunch money to buy baseball cards. That's the kind of guy he was.
Smart investment.
He wouldn't eat. And then by fifth period, he's over there asleep. He's got no energy. You're not feeling good.
He's
right?
He's on that grind.
He was definitely. So
hustling.
As long as I've noticed, he's been addicted to caffeine. Okay. And I worked with him briefly at this one place, maybe like a month, and he would drink like 5 or 6 cups of coffee and be like, "Hey, man," I thought he was on drugs or something. So I was talking to him, and I hadn't talked to him in a long time, but his son reached out to me, and his son said, "Hey," because I ran into him over at Thorndale Meat, Belton's place. I saw his son in there. I said, "Hey, what's up?" We started talking. I said, "How's your dad, man?" He's good, whatever, And I was like, "Okay." And then he says, dude, check this out. And he grabs me by my arm. He says, you got to hear this. Because remember I told you I saw something on Apache Pass with my uncle. We were hunting on the other side, and we were coming back on the side of San Gabriel. And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well," he goes, "my dad had a misfortune of running out of gas on the other side of Copeland. That's where his girlfriend lives, whatever. We'll call her B, because I don't have permission to say her. I don't know. She works out there. I don't want to say her name. So B was with him, and he dropped her off over at the Copeland, whatever, the inn. And he was going to run back over out to her place. She lives out in the country, Well, he gets a call, and just as he's going out of cell phone range, his friend asks him for a favor, who lives a few miles down. And he said, "Hey, did you find what you were looking for?" Because he's like, she likes to talk, right? So he didn't want to wait. So his impatience.
Mm-hmm.
He's always been. And he said, so I went ahead and my other friend gave me a call and said, "Hey, I don't know this guy." And he said, he lives 4 miles down the road. I said, "You know what? But it's hard to find. And this dude does not do technologies. They didn't use GPS.
Yeah.
Right? You got it all right there in your car. But let's don't know how to do that. Let's just be country people to the extreme. Like, let's be like we're living in the outback or something, you know. So what does he do? He goes and he drives down the road, and he totally misses the turn, and he goes, then I get turned around, and it looks dark, you know. And he goes, it's June. It's like, you know, dark don't get dark till like 8, 9 o'clock, right?
Mm-hmm.
He said it looked dark because the trees were all, you know. I said, where were you at? He goes, I was down there in the holler. I said, oh, you mean the place that you made fun of because I told you that there were these werewolf-looking creatures down there? He goes, yeah.
Precisely.
Yeah. Very scientific. But he told me, he says, no, I wasn't laughing at you. I said, yes, you did. I said, in fact, you and my other cousin, the other dummy from Brian, Aggies, both of them, forgive the retardation. You know, I forgive them. They're Aggies. I have a lot of Aggie cousins because they're very into, because Aggies, agriculture. I like to talk trash about the Aggies, but most of my family, actually probably Aggies, just so I could tease them.
Yeah.
You know, I like to be able to have the bragging rights. But we'll see what happens tomorrow when Texas plays Clemson. They better win, or they're going to get made fun of.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. So, anyways, what ends up happening, he's there. He says, I can't get cell phone service. He goes, so I get out of my car. And he goes, and I know that just maybe a mile up the road, I had cell phone service. So I started walking. He goes, then I looked at my watch, you know, and I said, dude, it's, you know, my watch ain't correct. He said, my watch says it's 4 p.m. in the afternoon. And he goes, so then I look up at the sun, and I have no idea what time it is. All I know is it's about to get dark. He goes, and I bet we was about an hour, maybe 40 minutes worth of sunlight left. He goes, and so I start walking, you know, and I've walked all over this Central Texas area. I've lived a lot of different places in Central Texas and out in the country, you know, and it gets dark. When it's dark, it's dark. Like where we live, it's black.
Mm-hmm.
You can't see your hand in front of your face, bro. I'm not even joking. Like it's dark, man. You know, you can look up and see all the stars up there. You can see them all. So he's walking, and he doesn't know where the hell he's at. And he's like, dude, I know that I'm on the other side of Copeland somewhere, you know, down in the holler. And he's like, and I'm over there, you know, and I hear this, like, you know, he tried to do it. It sounded terrible. I said, don't do it. Out in the middle of the woods. And he's like, I'm walking. There's a pasture. And he's like, I don't normally get scared, you know, because, but that howl is, I never heard of it. I've never heard anything like that before. He said, no, my ex-wife, you know, she heard something like that before. She was out there fishing in a friend's tank. We call them ponds. We call them tanks, you know. She was out there in a fully stocked tank, a stock tank, you know, had a bunch of catfish in it. And so she was out there fishing, and she heard that noise, and then something stalked her, paralleled her. She was in the clearing, and it was in the woods. And she could just barely make out this big shadowy thing. Never did figure out what it was, but whatever was making the howling noise, it stopped as it got close and was stalking her. We know what we think it was because we are initiated. So she told him, he laughed at her. So I had a conversation with him when it happened to his son. I said, your son was out there, you know, out of Apache Pass, and maybe, you know, he saw something. And he says, no, man, he's overactive imagination. He smokes marijuana. So I talked to his son. I was like, I wasn't smoking at the time it happened.
Yeah.
Okay. He goes, I wasn't stoned. I was sober. And he's like, so I asked him, I said, well, you heard this howling noise. Were you stoned? And he says, no, I was completely sober. I was like, you're completely sober, right? You're sober. You hadn't had a drink. He goes, no, I quit drinking 2 years ago. And he had some problems. He quit. I used to see, if you drive by, you see him at the beer joint. You see his truck there.
Yeah.
You know, you could go to Rockdale, you come back 4 hours later, he's still there at the
yeah, when them bar flies.
Yeah, and he just hang out. And he quit. He gave his life back to God. Good job. I'm proud of you. But when he heard the howling noise, he goes, I got so freaked out. He goes, I was about half a mile away from the car. I looked back, and I'm like, I'm going back to my truck. So he took off back to the truck. And then he heard it again, and it sounded like it was getting closer across the clearing in this pasture. And then there's this bottom land, and there's like a holler right there. I know where he was at. And he says, man, he goes, I hadn't been down that road since we were kids. I said, what do you mean we? You got a mouse in your pocket? I don't go down there. I don't go down there. Like, I don't know if I've ever been on that road, ever. You know, maybe, you know, at some point I'm sure I did, but I don't remember it.
Mm-hmm.
Because by the time I was 15 and I heard, he goes, it's been a long time since I've been down there. I said, I don't go down there at all. I know down that road, there's a lot of reports of stuff down there. And these people will say, oh, yeah, there's something there, but they won't tell you what it is. There's like this old timer code, which I wish I could break because they don't believe in talking about it. They think that, like, if you, even the white people, man, they think that, like, if you talk about it, you're going to have the boogeyman at your door or something. And they're like, the only way something's going to happen to you is you talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
If you get stabbed, you should just let it bleed. Don't talk about it. Don't go to the doctor and burden them with that.
If you ignore it, it'll leave you alone.
Mm-hmm.
It'll stop bleeding if you quit giving the power like that to allow it to affect you.
It's like one of my cousins. He lives down there in Rockport,
Mm-hmm.
and he likes to wade out into the water to go fishing. He said, "What about them sharks, man?
They're more scared of you than you are of them."
Yeah." He goes,
That
"I see them all the time. I kick at them and they go away." Okay, good. That's awesome. I'm glad that you believe that bullshit. All right. Because those are bull sharks. And they don't do that. They don't get scared of you. They might turn away and then come back because now you're crashing around. Because he said if you splash around, you're fine. I said, as one of my other cousins, I said, I don't think, here's my mom's side. I said, I don't think so. I don't think that's how it works. I think you're probably bait. But you can believe what you want. So he says, he's like, I didn't believe my wife when she had said the time she had said all this stuff. And that led to a big old fight between him and her because he was always teasing her about it. He'd make fun of her. Oh, Jean, tell him about what happened to her. She's over there scared. Jeannie's scared of the werewolf was chasing her, the Bigfoot, over there, whatever. Well, guess what? He goes back to his truck. And here's the shitty thing is that the truck was dead. Okay. And he couldn't roll the window up. So now you're sitting there, and guess what? Now it gets dark. So it turns out that the truck had a malfunction. It had like when you first buy a truck, sometimes they'll be like, hey, we sold you this truck, really expensive truck. Sorry, it doesn't run. So you need to bring it back, push it back to us, and we will install the proper thingamabob that'll make the thingamajig work that will the whatchamacallit will make your truck run.
Yeah.
And if you don't, well, Dogman will eat you.
It needs a new flux capacitor.
The flux capacitor has been malfunctioning. So he was mad as hell. He goes, I get in this truck.
It'll make you wish you had those old roll-up windows.
Mm-hmm. And he can't roll the window. The window's like that, like partway.
Yeah.
So he says, I'm there and I have no way to get the cell phone service. I said, why didn't you have the cojones to just keep walking, and get down to where the cell phone service was and just make your phone call? And he goes, yeah, but I didn't think I would make it. I didn't know if it would, I could have gotten who knows how far and it wouldn't have worked. I wasn't real sure how far it was. And he goes, I'm not real good with, time and direction and stuff like, yeah. I said, okay. So what did you do? He says, I sat in the truck. He goes, and then I hear the howling noise coming from the other side of the road. He's like, and it's crazy because I hear it. And I think it was like an echo. So I'm listening and I'm like, it's dark. No cars coming by. It's on a gravel road. And he goes, and my friend, I know my friend lives about 3 miles, but I can't remember which turn it was. Well, that's because you don't believe in GPS. Well, he doesn't use it. And so he's sitting there and he's hearing the howling noise coming from the other side, which would have been the east side of the road. On the west side of the road, he gets out of the truck because finally he has to urinate. Sorry for being graphic, but that's what it was. And he goes, and I'm out there. And he goes, and man, he said some funny stuff I can't repeat, but he said, man, I got back up in that truck real fast because I heard it from the other side. He's like, and then I knew this was not an echo. These were two different beings, and they were communicating.
Hmm.
And he goes, and I said, dude, you've been living out in those. He don't live out there. He lives on the other side of Lexington. But I told him, I said, you've been living out in the sticks your whole life. What was it? Was it a hog or a coyote? He goes, man, come on. He goes, you know what a hog sounds like. You know what a coyote sounds like. I go, you know what? I've been in the city so long, I can't really think. I don't know. Maybe. No,
Well, if it wasn't a hog and it wasn't a coyote, you must have been smoking weed or something.
I said, were you partaking of the devil's lettuce?
Because there ain't no such thing as monsters.
No such thing. And so I told him, I said, you need to figure out, what you were on. What kind was your medication?
Yeah.
So I was giving him a hard time. And he goes, you're enjoying this. You're enjoying messing with me. He gets real emotional, I told him, I said, Randy, just tell me what happened. Boogeyman?
Mm-hmm.
He said, you going to make fun of me because I made fun of y'all? I said, I am a nice, forgiving person. You've mocked me for years, and I took it in stride. I suffered in silence.
Yeah.
And he goes, bullshit. No, you didn't. I said, you made fun of me for everything from being an Aggie to being bald. I said, yes, of course I did. We're friends. That's what we do.
But in my defense, you started it.
But in my defense, you deserve it because you're a prick. And it's funny because now as he got older, his older brother mellowed out and became a really cool dude. But he's still kind of a little jerk, a little jerk dude. A little jerk dude. Whatever. So he says, he goes, I got really freaked out. He goes, and get this part's funny. He says, I hear this noise walking. So I lift my head up from the floorboard and I said, the floorboard? I said, what were you doing on the floorboard, Randy? He goes, well, I was laying down. I said, you were laying down on the floorboard? I said, why didn't you get in the back of the truck and lay down on the... He goes, you know how tall I am? I said, you're 5'9". You're shorter than me. I mean, he goes, okay. I was laying down on the floorboard and I was clutching my gun. I was scared. I mean, what do you expect? There was Bigfoot or whatever was out there. I said, okay, here we go. I said, I don't think that was Bigfoot. I think that was this wolf-like creature. He goes, I've never seen a wolf out here. I've seen them out in Iraq, though. They say they don't exist and say bull crap. They do. Promise you they do. And he said, well, they said they don't exist over there. And maybe not in this area, but they do out there in the east. And I told him, I said, okay, so it wasn't a wolf. So what was it? It wasn't Bigfoot. I don't believe it was Bigfoot. Bigfoot doesn't howl like that. Not that I've heard or heard of. And he says, okay, I'll be real honest with you. He says, so I laid there on the floorboard. He goes, and it got to about midnight. And he goes, and I'm out there. I've been out there for 4 or 5 hours, whatever hours. And he said, I hear this breathing noise. And he goes, and I was finally kind of starting to go to sleep because it had calmed down. He goes, and there was no noise. He goes, but I was laying down on the floorboard and I heard a couple different vehicles go by. When he got up, and they were already gone, I said, so why didn't you just sit there in the driver's side? He goes, hell no. The window's down. I can't, I'm scared. I'm being honest. And I said, if you weren't such a tight ass, you'd have one of those jumper, the jump your,
Yeah.
Yeah. And he goes, yes, I know, but I laid on the floorboard. He goes, and then I look up and I hear this kind of breathing noise, like something's breathing, but kind of wheezing at the same time. And this is kind of disturbing. Well, it's not kind of, it is. So he looks up above him, passenger side window, which is up, and he sees a buck, like a deer. Mm-hmm. And this, I promise you folks, would scare the living daylights out of anyone. This is when the Chuckle House stopped at the jokey. I quit joking around about it at this point. Because he sees a buck that's kind of like wheezing and having trouble breathing, and its head's kind of moving back and forth like it's staggering around. And he's like, oh, crap. He goes, and then behind this buck, he sees these 2 red dots. And he's like, what in the hell is that? And then he adjusts and he sits up and he sees that the buck is being held up, still alive, but barely. And he sees this black clawed hand holding the buck's neck doing this.
Oh.
And even saying that now, for me, it was like, okay, we're joking and laughing, kind of teasing, and he says, "Look, Turner." He likes to call me by my last name. He ain't never been in the military. He gonna act like he is, and then he's using military time too. I'm like, dude, come on, all right. So he tells me, he says, it's like 2,300 hours, and he gets all serious. 2,300 hours.
One of the meal team 6 guys.
Yeah, except he's not heavy, he's not fat, skinny. But he says, you remember when we were in the academy? Yeah, and he goes, that we used the military time. I'm like, it was a science academy, dude. we weren't in the military academy, But I told him, I said, look, if you want to use that time, go ahead. But then he goes, look, this part's not funny. You got to listen to what I say to you right now. And I said, okay. So he got real serious. So whenever he told me about this creature, he heard the wheezing. He says that when I'm trying to adjust to what's behind the buck, and this wasn't no small animal, it was about a 12-point buck. I mean, he said, dude, I see this being, like this entity, he goes, but I didn't get a good look. The face, it was kind of hiding back in the distance, but I could see the red eyes.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, and then I hear this gravelly noise, kind of whatever. And I look behind me and I see something kind of duck down. There's another one on the other side. He goes, and then I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm so screwed. He says, I had a 45. And he's like, enough to take, half a dozen shots each, whatever, but maybe that was it. I mean, maybe you could shoot each one of them, not enough to save my life. And he goes, and from the looks of that thing, it was ducked down. He goes, you could see it was kind of ducking down. And he goes, it was probably 7-8 feet tall. That's usually what they say they are. And he says, and I said, damn, dude, I said, so what did you do? And he goes, well, what would you have done? I said, I'd probably have shit my pants. I don't know. At least piss myself. I mean, I'm not even joking, and he goes, well, he goes, about like it. He goes, I almost pissed myself. He goes, I just, it was horrible. He goes, and I sat there staring at it. And he goes, and then I just see the buck get thrown, like, and at that point, he says, I just got down in like this fetal position and I started rocking back and forth. He goes, and I prayed. He's like, 1.5 years in of being a born again Christian, got saved, got baptized down in Houston at his girlfriend's mother's church. And he said, at that point, he goes, I believe that it was divine intervention because at that right then, at that point in time, he's like, and this is what he believes, but I think there's something more to this because he says that a helicopter, a low flying helicopter, flew overhead, and these beings, one of them that was kind of, like ducked down, had stood up, and he saw it run, and then the other one took off running in the same direction.
Maybe they were looking for him. Yeah,
that's what I was wondering. And he said this helicopter just swooped over one time.
It's one of those assets.
And so this is the weird thing about that. Those things have been in that holler for a long time because as far back as I can remember, we were told never to play in that area or whatever, because my friend Theo's grandmother used to say, and then they were African-American, and she was like, those haints, they lived down in that holler. I remember being a kid and him getting his ass whooped because we went down there looking for crawdads. And we would catch tadpoles and other things. We were kids running around barefoot, just country kids, And she said, I done told y'all boys. And she made an example of him right in front of us. And we learned. That was about the last time I'd gone into that area ever. I was probably like 9. Maybe 9, 10, maybe. I don't know. And I've known Theo pretty much most of my life. But this incident, he said it shook him to his core. He goes, dude, I was never so afraid in my whole existence, Wolf, I'm telling you. And so then I was like, oh, it's Wolf now, not Turner. Yeah. So he made a couple jokes, I could tell he was nervous and he was trying to, and I said, did a vehicle finally, because he says, dude, right after that, some guys in a pickup driving by, and I jump out and I wave them down. So he goes, and they gave me a ride. He goes, they were kind of weird, living in big old lifted up, Ford F-150 or Ford 250. And he said, we're driving, and I was just told him I was broke down. I didn't tell him what I had just seen. He says, but he said, they're heading into Taylor. They're heading into Taylor in town. And he's like, and he was like, one of them, he was taking his brother to his girlfriend's house or whatever. And he said he was in the back, and he goes, yeah, man, you can just take me into Copeland, if you don't mind. And they said, okay. And so he said they were kind of shooken up. They were just like kind of quiet and kept going, man, I don't know what that was. And he was in the back, and he was like listening to him kind of talk back and forth. And he's like, if you don't mind me asking, what happened? You guys seem like and they looked at each other, they looked at him and the driver, which seemed, there were 2 brothers, and one of them, he looked like he was the older one. He says, man, you're not going to believe this. We saw this big wolf-like thing like run across the road, and then it stood up and like jumped over the barbed wire fence right when there was a helicopter flying over. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so then he was like, oh shit, like, I think I know what, and so he goes, dude, I've been sitting here for like 4 hours, and I kept hearing this howling noise. He goes, and then I look up, and there's this buck laying on the side of the road. And they were like, really? And so they wanted to go back and look, they weren't as shooken up as him. And he was like, no, let's go, So get this. He goes and picks up his girlfriend, who's at Copeland Inn. She's in there, and she just gone in there to grab her wallet or whatever, her purse, whatever she had left there. And she was like, where are you? What were you? What's going on? They're closing up and everything. And she's like, I was getting ready to go, to leave. She goes, but I thought maybe you were mad. You weren't answering your phone. He said, I couldn't get no service. He was telling her what was going on. And he goes, and it was weird. He goes, my phone had gone dead, at this point. And he goes, now the phone was dead. And he's like, and I couldn't even call when I got into range. So she was upset with him, And so her and 2 or 3 other people that were there, they all took off, including the 2 brothers. They decided, the one guy called his girlfriend, said, I'm going to be a little bit late, because she works in Hutto, and she was getting off or whatever. And he said, I'm going to be a little bit late. So it was like 7 or 8 of these people. They all went back to his vehicle. And they didn't see any trace of these beings, except the inside of his truck had pee all over it. And so they teased him, like he had peed himself. He's like, that's not me. That was not me. He goes, I and I said earlier, you said you were going to pee yourself, He said, man, that was not me. It was like dog urine or something.
Yeah.
He's like, because it was in the front seat, it was in the back seat. And I said, damn, you crawled all over the truck peeing like that? He said, dude, seriously? I said, I don't know. I wasn't there. I figured you were scared. You were scared. You were in the floorboard. You didn't tell me you were in the floorboard until you stood up and saw whatever it was. It was puppeteering a deer or whatever. He was like, you just messing with me, man. I said, no, I'm messing with you. I said, but still, that's a terrifying story. Then he's like, you ever heard of anything like that? I said, you don't listen to the show, do you? He goes, no. Of course you don't. Because you didn't believe in it. Now he does. Now he believes in it. Of course he does. Well, what's crazy, though, okay, he's right. He goes, there was too much urine. He goes, I would have had to drink 8 gallons of water for these, whatever. He said, and the back door, was open. Like it had been left like just partway open. And there was pee all over the truck, side of the truck. Like they went back over to his vehicle and they pissed in it. And he asked me if I'd ever heard anything like that. Now, if anybody knows the werewolf church, where Josh used to work for us, told that story to me and Scorpion, stupid ass, told him he had seen one. How to get him to talk about it. But no, it's marking his territory, very possible marking his territory, or who knows. So that's his story. But I mean, and I asked him, I said, anything else happen? Have you had bad dreams? Anything at all? Nope, nothing. He's had no residual. A lot of times when people have things that happen, I mean, later on, they have things that happen later on. Like, speaking of Josh from the Werewolf Church, he had nightmares for years because of this incident that happened to him. Work.
Yeah.
How do you deal with it? Great.
Okay.
So hang on one second. So sorry about that, folks. Work. Something's going on with work. It's always something. Oh, dang it. So we don't understand, how these things work. Now, what was the black, or not to say black, but I was going to say maybe black operations. I don't know. There was a helicopter that was flying overhead. How could there be now? How could these things be assets? If they were there since time immemorial, or maybe they were going and grabbing them and trying to do. Who knows? Because they've been there for a long time, at least since I was a kid. I mean, Now you got to know something too. I never saw any of these things until I was 15. So I didn't. Okay, I don't want to say I did not believe in it, but I didn't really believe either. I wasn't like like an unbeliever, but I wasn't totally a believer either. Hold on one second. I got to deal with work, and I will be right back. And we're going to tell another story, another encounter. It's very crazy. Hang on. All right. So I can't tell you what that is. I can't tell you why, or I can't say what that is. I can't tell you why that is. All I know is that it is. It's a very weird thing. Hang on.
Hang on, Kim.
So we got overstaffed at one of our sites. Usually it's understaffed, whatever. All I know is since I was a child, and I think that maybe I had multiple close encounters with these things, and maybe even Bigfoot too. But I was not aware of what I didn't know what it was. I mean, I was just getting close to them, but I wasn't. I've told the story on the show. I went to a slumber party for my friend Brad's birthday, and I think it was like near misses or something. I don't know what we named it, but one of them was like his brother was like, "Yeah, we're gonna scare everybody," and they wanted me to participate in their making everybody afraid, that they were gonna pretend like this steer skull was and wear a trench or like a duster, and I was gonna help make everybody scared. And I got roped into it unwillingly. I was being roped into it because if I didn't, well, I'd probably get choked with the rope because these were older guys, and I was like, you're always getting bullied. And so what ended up happening? They actually saw a Bigfoot-like, ape-like creature. I didn't see it, but about 2/3 of the kids at the party did. I was not one of them because I was too busy trying to help the older boys scare everybody. Like I said, I didn't do it willingly. But they were just like, well, we'll beat your ass or you can help us. So, well, you don't have much choice. I guess I'm going to help because I don't want to get hurt. And you see those guys nowadays and they're like your best friend, whatever. I don't remember that. Yeah, sure. Okay. You don't remember that. Some of them act like they don't remember picking on you, whatever. When you grow up and you hear all these stories and then you're 15 and then you see it, then you're like, okay. Especially when it's like, oh, well, that's real. What else can be real? A lot. There can be a lot of stuff. The most terrifying thing to me was when I was riding my bike back. I was dedicated to collecting baseball and football cards. And so I would ride my bike into town, which was about 3 miles, 3.5 miles. And even that was just like the outskirts of town where it was still very rural. And you would have to ride your bike back at night. But my dad would be working. And so my parents were separated and my dad was not ever really around. So I would just, and my dad knew I was riding my bike back at night like that. He probably whooped my ass. But, there were a couple times where I thought that there was something moving around in the pasture because I'd see the cattle all pushed together and you're like, what is that? Something there. So it's no telling how many close calls I had. You know what I mean? Like there might have been a lot of these, encounters. And so anyways, we're going to switch up gears now. Now we're going to move to the swamps of Louisiana. This tale comes from a guy named Otis, who's an African-American guy, and he's about 51, I think. So he's close to my age. And his story was really, man, I don't know what I would do in these situations, because when some of these stories people tell you, you're like, well, at least you were inside a vehicle or a building or something. This dude was out hunting. He was a gator hunter. You can hold on. So he went out gator hunting with his cousin, and what ended up happening, one of their friends who only went by Richter, I don't know, he kept calling him Richter. I don't know if that's first name, last name. He was a Cajun kid, whatever, half Cajun. And he said that dude, he was nuts. So they end up getting one of these gators that wasn't deceased, and it tumped over their boat, and it got loose because they thought they had shot it and they didn't. I don't know what was going on. Now he's a very jolly guy. He said the drinking of alcoholic beverages may have been involved. Okay. But he says, dude, we're splashing around this water and I'm in there waist deep in this gator. It's big. I mean, it's a big boy. And he goes, we get that boat turned back and we get back up in there. And he says, and we're in one of these bayous, you know, there's a little tributary there, you know. And so he goes, and there's sharks, there's bull sharks come up in that brackish water. And I like the way he talks. It's pretty funny to listen to him talk. And he says, well, we got that boat up right, you know, and we was going down up in there. He says, and my granny, she done told me about the haints up in there. They're Bigfoot. And some of them was real mean. They eat you. They'll eat you. I said, what about the Lugaroos? And he said, oh, yeah, Lugaroo up in there too. It's like that's some witchcraft. And so he goes, I got a cousin done seen the Lugaroo 3 times. Mess with him. It's like a curse, like a witch that turned into a. And he said that this witch could turn into a crow too. It's a very weird story. So I got an interview with his cousin the day after Christmas. So I'm looking forward to that. I want to talk to Otis's cousin. Hopefully that'll be a good one. But this guy, he told me, he says, dude, our boat got tumped over. Well, my words, I say tump. He didn't say tump. He said it got turned over. And he said the boat got turned over. And he's like, we made a bunch of noise. He goes, and that noise, we freaked out. You know, we were 17-year-olds. And he goes, we had another boat. Our friend and you know, my cousin was in another boat. And we didn't know where they were at. They had gone around the bend. And we was hollering to them, you know, because we heard the noise of their, you know, propeller, but we didn't. And he said, dude, at that point, he goes, I was really freaked out, not by the alligators in the water. I was back in the boat because I heard a splashing coming from the distance that didn't sound like an animal from the water. He said, and so I look up and I see this black, hairy beast with a smushed in, this is his words, a smashed in face. He goes, it was like a flat, the nose was real wide, you know, and he goes, and not like a, you know, not like a black person. He goes, and this is what he said. He goes, I know you're thinking it was a black person walking around the way. I said, I didn't say that. I said, black people aren't covered in hair and, you know, whatever. And he kind of laughed and he said, no. But he goes, but it did have a really wide nose. He goes, and it had big lips, but it had a protruding forehead and a conical shaped. He didn't say conical, but he said triangular shaped, head conical, and had little bitty ears. And he goes, I could see it. And he goes, and the eyes were kind of a yellowish color. I said, like amber, maybe. He says, yeah, maybe like amber. He said, and it was just walking towards us. He's like, and my buddy, Richter, he started trying to, you know, get the boat going. And we started yelling to my cousin and my friend who were around the corner, around the bend. And we heard the propeller in the distance, you know, and we couldn't get their attention. And of course, this is when you're 17, you know. I mean, he's like, you're talking like, you know, 1990, 91, something like that for him, or 19, you know. And he said, dude, I was terrified. We were looking at this creature. He said it must have been 8 foot tall. Massive shoulders. He goes, and finally, he goes, it was interested in us too. Very interested in us. And we had a few traps that we had set out. We had trot lines, and they had been getting robbed. We didn't know what was doing it. We couldn't figure it out. Now we like, maybe this is the culprit. You know, maybe this is what it was. And he said, we get going. We get the boat going. We're getting out of there. And he said, and this thing begins to run towards us. He goes, and it's running through the water that's a little above its knees. He goes, and it's gaining on us. Then it gets down, and then the water kind of deepens, and you can see it kind of go up over its, you know, navel. Didn't slow it down. It just moving, swimming, then running. Then the water goes back up to its waist, then to its knees, and then back down to almost to its chest. He goes, this thing was not stopping. It was not slowing down. It was catching up to us. And he goes, and this boat's not real fast. You know, he couldn't even tell me exactly how fast it went, but he goes, it wasn't super fast. He goes, but it was fast enough. It should have been outpacing this thing. This thing was catching up to us. He goes, and then my friend's busy looking back, and Rick hits the side of a stump sticking out of one of these trees, and we just go whoo, up in the air, and then we fall out of the boat, and the boat falls. He goes, and did not know where my friend went. He goes, I'm looking around, I look up, and this creature is gone. So he runs over, he looks, and his friend is on the other side. He gets up, he comes up coughing up water. He says water's gross too. It's like brown and orange looking. It's gross water. And he said, he goes, I don't know what the hell was going on. I couldn't place where this creature was or where it went. He said, but then my friend had a big old gash on the side of his head, like on the top of his head. It came down the back side of his head. And he said, I knew that he needed to go to the hospital, medical attention, right? And he goes, and I had to get him back in that boat. And he goes, and then he goes, this thing popped up right there by me and my friend. He goes, and I'm wearing, you know, what they call a white beater. He goes, and it grabs me. And he goes, to this day, I have these huge marks. There's 2 really big cuts on my back. He goes, it looks like something took a chunk out of my flesh. It's like white marks on my back. And it pulled him off of the boat. And it began to submerge him into the water. It's a crazy story. Like he said that it was like, he goes, I would come up and I'd see this sort of, he said, it looked like a caveman mixed with a gorilla like face. And it had these teeth, and it was like, and it was angry. He goes, and it was drowning me. He goes, and the impression, he goes, the feeling I get, he goes, and I'm sort of an empath. He goes, my wife tells me I'm an empath. And he says, I knew that this thing was going to eat me. He said, and I look up, and my friend is laying there in the boat, unconscious. He's bleeding to death. He's like, I struggled, and I ripped my shirt, and I managed to get free. He goes, but I was just wading through the water and looking back, and it was right behind me. And I had gotten my breath enough. He goes, and then I feel this pain in the back of my head. And he's like, and then I just, everything goes black. He's like, and then I wake up. He goes, and I don't know where I'm at. I'm all squished into something. I don't know what it is. He goes, and it's dark, and I hear, you know, like the frogs, you know, croaking. And I'm like, where in the hell am I at? And I realize the water is going up to my waist, and I'm inside of a tree stump. I've been shoved into like a tree stump. He goes, and I could see like the gators going by, like swimming, splashing, you know. He goes, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm here in the middle of the night. And he goes, the last thing I remember is trying to run away from this ape-like man-beast thing. He's like, and then I squeeze my way out, and I gash both my arms, just profusely bleeding. He's like, and I get out into the water, and I'm looking around, and right there on the shore, I see the boat. And I see Richter laying there with one leg up, you know, his knee was up. And he was just kind of like on his side. And he was just like, he lifted up his head, and he wasn't bleeding anymore. So luckily it cut his scalp open, but it was superficial. It wasn't hematoma, terrible, whatever. You know, and that's what I explained to him, that what that could have been. And he says, Richter tells him, he says, man, he's like, I'm not doing good, man. He goes, I need to get to the hospital. I can't see. And he's like, dude, I knew at that point we were in trouble. And he goes, where did that thing go? You know, and he goes, Richter knew exactly what I was talking about. And he told Odie, they called him Odie. His name was Otis. He told Odie, he said, Odie, we're going to die. He goes, this thing left, but it's coming back. He's like, and there's another one with it. There's a smaller one. And so he goes, okay, we got to get out of here. He goes, does the boat work? He goes, I don't know. I can't hardly move. He's like, and I can't see. It had blinded him in one of his eyes, the fall. So he looked closer and he saw that there was like a split right here, and his eyeball was turned downward. He's like, it was terrible. You could see through the top. It was gross. I didn't want to get into it. He went blind in his left eye. And so he says, dude, it was terrible. He says, and so this creature, then it would have chased us, And so he's like, dude, I go over there and I grab my friend. I'm bleeding. He says, my arms are cut real deep, especially on the left side. He goes, I was bleeding real bad. And he goes, I put him back in the boat and I pushed it back into the water and I got in the water. He goes, I didn't know where we were at. I didn't know which way to go. I don't know how much gas we had. He goes, I didn't know what to do. He's like, we liable to be riding around out in that bayou. It's a deep, dark place. He goes, and I just hope that I could, navigate my way through and find some landmarks, that look familiar. And so that's what he did. He just started, going through the water. And so I was like, what did you do? And he says, well, this guy's pretty funny though. He told me, he goes, well, I got to the nearest embankment. I got out and I yelled for help. But I used a white man's voice and the police came and they saved us. His joke, not mine. And I was like, because at first I was like, what? Like, he's like, yeah. He goes, and then the police came and it was all good. I said, really? And he goes, man, I'm just funning with you, man. He goes, for real? He goes, I was yelling at first. I started thinking, maybe I should yell for help. He goes, and then I thought, this is dumb as hell. He goes, I'd gotten hit in the head too hard. It was in the back of my head was crusted with blood. He goes, luckily I had a little fro going and gave me some cushion. He said, I'm riding in that water. He said, and I feel this waves kind of coming, and I look and I saw two of these creatures coming toward me. I said, the same ones? He goes, I guess maybe it might have been different ones. I don't know. There's two of them. He said, but these look like they're about the same size. He goes, and they looked smaller than the one that we had seen. And Richter said, that's one of the smaller ones. And he goes, but that's not the big one. There was those two smaller ones. Smaller being like 7 foot. Still, maybe 450 pounds. And this other one was probably like, he said somewhere about 550, 8 foot. Humongous. And he said, Richter said, man, we got to get out of here. He goes, so I'm like navigating through these stumps and this, in the reeds and everything. I'm trying to get out of there. And he goes, and then I see this other one, the big one, which is I recognize this ugly bastard. What he said, exact words. Is running along the shore. And he said it was doing this like clapping noise. And he goes, the noise was so loud that it would hurt my ear and the side of my face when he would clap. Think about that. This thing was so strong, so big, so powerful, and it clapped. He said, and he goes, this little boat, he goes, I'm praying out loud. He's like, my granny always told me, she says, boy, when you're in trouble, you pray out loud in the name of Jesus. You don't go with it, You pray in the name of Jesus and you say it out loud. You claim it in the name of Jesus. He said, when I was little, my house was haunted. He said, haunted. What he said. And he said, dude, this woman looked like a witch would come slithering into my room. It was just her, get this, it was her head with like a snake body. He goes, and me and my brother Bodie and Bodie, Otis and Bodie, but they called him Odie. And Odie, he told me, he says, me and my brother, we were laying there in bed. He's like, and we would see this thing, and it would look around with its head, and it would see us, and it would crawl up to the bed. He goes, and this happened all the time, dude. He said, but certain days of the night, my grandpa, he goes, would go to work, and my granny, she had to clean houses, so she wouldn't come home till late. We'd already have to be in bed. He goes, and my mom had an accident when she was young. she got thrown off a horse and she hit her head. So she was a little slow. And he said, and my dad, he died. He was a gambler, and he was in New Orleans, and he got shot. So his grandpa, he grew up really rough way to grow up. I got a lot of respect for the guy. The guy now raises his siblings, or he raises his siblings' kids. And I know I've done that. And so we hit it off. He was a pretty nice guy. And he worked in New Orleans for a while as a bouncer, pretty tough guy. Been stabbed, so have I. So we had that in common. I've been stabbed twice, 2 different times. And yes, one time it was in the buttocks. Not really. It was more like I guess the top of my butt, lower back.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody
Got
stabbed.
lucky.
For years, I didn't know what it was. My wife said when we described it, she said that was a scribe. So some drunk asshole comes from work.
Mm-hmm.
His friend gets into a fight, and I had to go break it up. His friend hit me, so I hit his friend, then he stabs me, the other guy, with a scribe. So, yes, I know. And then I was stabbed in my lower abdomen, and I nearly died. That was a different time. So what ended up happening with these guys? He says, dude, we were hauling ass. He goes, and eventually he goes, I started praying, and he goes, and I prayed what they say as in I prayed in earnest. Like I prayed. I said, God, give me the strength. He goes, and I felt something in my chest. It felt hot. He said, and I felt like I was Superman. And I wasn't afraid no more. He goes, and I was just like, I'm going to get away from these things. And he was pointing at it. He goes, I'm going to rebuke you in the name of Jesus. I'm rebuking you in the name of Jesus. I'm going to rebuke you in the name of Jesus. He kept telling it. He said, then it slowed down, then it stopped. He goes, and then we come around this fork, and that's when I knew where we was at. I knew to go to the right, and then we was home free. He goes, and we never hunted in that area again. He goes, but get this, for the next 3 nights, and we lived right there on the water. Well, he didn't live there. They had a little shack that they used, and they all shared it to go, gator hunting, whatever. And he said, dude, we were right there on the water. And me and my little brother would go out there. And he said, his brother is now in prison. He's been in prison for years. And he raises his 3 kids. And then his sister, same thing. She ended up going to jail. She's in and out of jail. She's got problems, substance abuse problems. And he makes no bones about it. He's a church-going man. He believes, in God, strong faith. And he says, I go out there, and every night we see these 3 yellow balls of light bobbing around the water like they're looking for something. Mm-hmm. And then he asked me the question. He says, do you think that this had anything to do with what happened to me? And I said, no, I don't think it has anything to do with it. Of course I do. Yeah, yes, I do. I absolutely do. I think it has everything to do with what you saw because there are orbs that are seen around these Bigfoot cases. I don't know why people just have such a hard time wrapping their mind around that. Well, the data. There is no data. The data is what people tell us. That's it. The people that go out and get the data and whatever, they're having encounters, and that's the data. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, what else is what data? What other data are you coming up with?
Bigfoot poop. Scat.
Yeah, they play with shit all the time, but they're not doing. What are you doing with it? What are you doing with it? Put it in a bag? You can knock on somebody's door and light it on fire? What are you doing?
So just real quick, there is one small work thing that came up that we need to talk about real quick.
I'll be right back, folks. Don't hang up. Sorry about that, folks. We got to close that door. Thank you. Work. I was looking at myself today in the mirror, and I was like, I could see why people don't like me. They say he's an absolute monster. I mean, we did all kinds of crap to him, this way, but, we go to his conference and trash it and say all kinds of horrible things, and then he's a monster. But who am I to complain? They look at me and they're just like, he's just ugly. He's an ugly man. There you go. Hey, Lee Tracker, how you been? How are you and Jerry doing? It says here, faith in the name of Yeshua, Jesus, is the most powerful weapon. All these mutants and monstrosities come from the original enemy and predator, and for Jews, yes, they do. I'm also completely on board with their theory of the spider, because why do they crawl around the way they do? I cannot say, and I will be completely honest with you on this case, I cannot say that what Odie saw with his friend Richter, and I don't know if that's his real first name or last name, I didn't ask, but I don't know if those 3 orbs had anything to do with the 3 Bigfoot. I can speculate all day, and I can tell you I believe, yes, me, Josh Turner, personally believe that, yes, that's what that was. But if I sat here and I told you, yeah, for sure, it doesn't, because I have no proof of this. I can, I can say nothing about that other than what I believe, which will be a personal opinion. It's not a fact. By all manner means of whatever, I wish that I could tell you they saw them change into an orb. Now that's happened. People see that. People seen Dogman plop out of orbs right there in Louisiana. But to try to say that because that's not what happened, that would be a real stretch. That that's a lot. So I can't do it, man. I don't know. So so much going on, folks. Guys, pray for me, guys, that I could get organized. I was talking to Merkel the other day, and that was one thing that he said. It was just like so hard to get organized. And Merkel's he's focused 100% on Tony. He's focused on his show. Like that's his show. That's what he does. But I got this and I got a million other things going on. So, I mean, but I was like, you're pretty focused. I mean, and he's like, yes, but it takes a lot. It does. It takes a lot. Oh, so, all right. So the other thing too, we're talking about drones. Everybody is so up in arms about these drones, and they're asking me to talk about it and make a show about it and do this and do that. I'm not doing or saying anything until we know more. And yes, I know that stocks and crypto took a hit, but let me give you some advice. Don't jump out yet. You do need to jump out eventually, but not now. There's still a bull run going on. This is a minor correction, but it will be a point where you're going to have to go, whoop, see ya. But this ain't it. Somebody asked me what we do if the crypto bottoms out. Wait till it bottoms out and then buy more. You think I'm kidding? That's what I'm going to do. Only thing is, I'm broke as shit right now. I call this a minor setback. But like Dave Chappelle says, he's like, I'm not poor, I'm broke. Broke is a state of mind. Broke is a temporary thing, and poor is a state of mind. Yes, I've invested in XRP too. Yes, Elijah. But there's a difference between being broke and being poor. Now, it's like being injured or you hurt. Are you injured or are you hurt? If you're hurt, you can get up and walk it off. If you're injured, you're going to need to wear a boot or a brace or something that involves going to the hospital, probably. So, temporarily short of funds. There you go, Lee. There you go. I can tell you this right now, 110%. There are those people in this community who want to create division and problems. And they will stop at nothing to do that. People will ask you, well, why do they do it? I don't know. I know that they do it because they have a hateful obsession, but I think it's deeper than that. That's a very simplified answer. In fact, the person that started all of this, I believe, is if he's not possessed, he's obsessed on. He probably doesn't even know it. I do believe he probably believes in God in a way because he's afraid of going to hell or he wants to go to heaven or whatever. But he's got a mental defect that keeps him from them stopping the trolling. Like he's created hundreds of fake accounts. He can't stop it. It's no different than having an addiction. So he needs prayers. People need to pray for him. He laughs and thinks it's funny and cute whenever he gets over with people and he thinks that he's caused enough problems. He thinks it's cute. But he is in the throes of evil. He's a very vile individual. And he needs to be behind bars, is what the truth is. And he knows it too. He knows it, and he's turning a catastrophe, a disaster, into a money-making opportunity. Yeah, that's the truth. And only low-level thinking. There, you pick the words out of my mouth. I was going to say low vibrational. Only someone with low vibration does that kind of thing. But if you notice, like right now, there are a lot of people doing this. This guy is not unique. He's one of the worst I've seen in this community, but they're not unique. There is a lot of these NPCs doing what they're doing in this world. And they're horrible. They're absolutely horrific. A friend of mine, she's known her for years, and she's going through that at work. And she finally was vindicated because this liar, she was working at this place where they sell makeup and stuff. And she's really my friend's wife or fiance. And he's like, dude, this is what's going on with her, And so she was giving us a ghost story. And so it was terrible, having to watch your back from these NPCs that are doing what they do. And they don't care. They have no morality. And you don't know what's piloting them. What is in their brain? Is it some sort of do they have brain damage? Possibly. I mean, I'm being serious. Or do they have a parasite? Or is it just flat out demonic spiritual obsession / possession? Or it could be something that comes to them because of those other things. Like I've heard of people traumatically getting hit in the face or head, and it changes their personality and they start to become, that's a good term right there. Somebody just says demonic autopilot, Barry. And then they go, let's use that term. They go on demonic autopilot because of whatever's happened to them. I knew a guy named Jason who was in a car wreck. when I was going to this Christian Science Academy school when I was a kid. And he had a traumatic brain injury, and he was the nicest guy before that. And then after that, he was like really cantankerous and really just, just a combative, an angry, maniacal person. I thought, man, this is not the guy that I knew before that. I think I was like in 6th grade or something, and he was like in 8th, but he became so different, just a different person. I didn't like him. I didn't like being around him. He was real erratic, and he would get aggressive and get in your face. And I was like, he was a bigger, stronger kid. I'm like, what am I going to do? And so I just stayed away from him. When before that, he would protect us younger kids, from these bullies. Then he became one himself. But I always thought, I noticed that even as a child, I noticed that car wreck did that to him. Some of these people, like, I think that something happens to them. But I don't know what makes these people tick. I can't, they're just evil. I mean, you just know. And then they get together in a big group, and then it becomes this evil group mentality. This mob mentality takes over to where they're like, oh, you know what? Let's cast spells. And they're supposed to be Christian. Of course, they're really not. That's why they're okay with that. If you were really Christian, you'd be like, hey, don't do that. That's not good. It's horrible. Don't do that. But not one of them is going to say anything because they're okay with that. And if they all got together and said, I know where we can catch this guy, we can kill him, they would be okay with that too. Because they've convinced themselves that you're the ultimate evil. No matter what good you do for the community, you've offended them in some way. But you got to remember, though, somebody who is obsessed upon or demonically possessed, and they're being piloted by something evil, everything is a reproach or an insult to them. You could say, hey, it's a beautiful day today, and they take offense to it. And you've done something horrible to them. So, and then they just, the lying, oh my gosh, the lying is just, it's out of control. The revisionist storying and the lying is out of control. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. They say we come on here and we beg for donations and all that. When have I gone here and begged you for donations? We say donations are appreciated, but not expected. And then, of course, they started copying. The other reprobate channels started copying what we said. I said that. I said, hey, donations are appreciated, but not expected. Right now, I understand. It's Christmas time. People are broke. The economy's in the toilet because you got the guy that falls down up walking up the stairs. He falls out. He falls down. He falls up. Poops his pants in front of the Pope. Nobody got no money. Everybody's broke, including myself. So I know you ain't got no money. If you could, join the Patreon. That's the best way to do it because then you get, a swag bag and we can send you stuff and everything. Or to join the membership thing, whatever you want to do. Lori, thank you for that donation. But like I said, it's not expected. It's appreciated for sure. But, it's rough right now. Times are hard. So you can't expect people to just be, you got to be willing to do this basically for free and just be enjoyed in the moment doing it because, you're not going to make a lot of money at this. It's just not. You could do a bunch of conferences and I could hawk my books at conferences, but I'm not going to do that. I am speaking at the Symposium of the Strange. I believe that's what it's called. On January 29th. I didn't know exactly when. I thought it was January 9th, but I guess it's the 29th. I don't know. It's in January. I know I agreed to go, and I'm going to speak. Don't even know what I'm going to say. I'll put something together between now and then, but it's going to be about Dogman. They want me to talk about Dogman. So, There's people that think that this is a grift to them, and they think that they're going to make $1 million doing this. You're not. Okay. It's just not going to happen. Thank you, Tara, for that donation. We greatly appreciate it. That's the largest donation we've had in weeks. But and thank you for that. We appreciate that. Well, it's Christmas time. Don't feel obligated. But when you stop and you look at these people in this community, and I'm not even being specific, there's not just one, there's a bunch. There's a lot of them. This is a grift for them. They don't care. They do this because it's money for them. I'm up here tonight, and I basically gave you Sunday's show. But like I tell Anthony was like, well, what are we going to do for Sunday? I said, dude, don't even worry about Sunday. I can do next Sunday's show on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony knows. Anthony has seen the emails.
Yeah, you can talk about different stories till Kingdom Come.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just he's got story after story after story. Not just from emails, but like everywhere we go, he's like talking to people. Like
happens every time.
Yeah, and like sometimes like he'll get like either a long story from someone, or like there'll be like 2-3 people who just kind of like gathered around, and they're all giving their stories, and like me and Nelly are like, man, this is great, but can we go? Like, I really want to go eat.
I can tell when y'all are like, want to go.
Or like or like we got to go to this other place, and we got to. But man, come on, like. But yeah, point is like he puts in the work, so that's why he's. I mean, he can talk about story after story after story like nobody's business, and it's because you talk to people, you put yourself out there, you put in the work. I mean, it's very simple. The more you put in, the more you get out. And that's why my uncle here is succeeding and all these other people are not.
They're mad.
Yeah.
And the bottom line is this: no matter how egregious your sins are, God forgives you. Excuse me, folks, if you truly mean it. And don't just keep doing the same thing and forgive me, God, and they're going to do the same thing. You know, you got to make an effort to not be that way. And Jesus says, love, covers a multitude of sin. If you truly have love in your heart and you really love people, you really do love people, whatever the egregious thing that I have done to you, you'd forgive me and just move on with your lives. I forgive you. You've said some of the most horrible, awful, terrible things about me, about Anthony, about Tony, Nellie, Maddie. You've said terrible, horrible things about Abe, all of our friends, Hell Ben Holler, Blondes and Booze. You say the gross, the nastiest, most vile things you can come up with. Some of the stuff that they've said to Nellie and to Maddie and to Jesse Doyle and to Brandy and Krista. You're not a man. See, you're horrible people. Talking about the things you want to do to them. What in the hell is wrong with your mind? And then they're over there talking about, we want to protect women and children. Then why are you supporting people that hurt them? I have a hard time believing that there is any good coming from that camp at all. A few of you are self-proclaimed magic users and satanic. You're satanic. One of them even said "Hail Satan" on this guy from Oklahoma's Live. That's his buddy. They don't notice these things. You're not noticing these things. How are you not noticing these things? I mean, you got to be out of your mind. You can't see it. Or you're just putting the blinders on because you're so mad at this other guy. You're not focusing on that. Even if I was Hitler, okay, what about Stalin? We were so closed up, focused on Hitler and Hirohito that Stalin managed to enslave half of Europe for 80 years. Think about that, folks. 80 years they took over Europe because and all they wanted to do focus on the Germans and the Japanese, Italians. Were great. You knocked them out. What about this other guy? You let him go, and look at what they did. You are siding with Stalin because you think I'm Hitler. That is what you're doing. You are, and you're wrong on both accounts. You need to wake up and stop what you're doing, and not. You don't need to ask forgiveness. I already forgave you. Ask for forgiveness from God. If you forgive me, I forgive you. And even if you don't forgive me, I still forgive you. So what's done is done. And some of them are having problems because they have problems with each other. So then they turn up the attacks on us. You really are having problems with each other because I think some of you do have a little bit of moral fiber and you don't want to deal with the black magic users in your group. And you got these people lying about people going to jail and all this bullshit. Because we didn't do nothing to these people. Okay? Bullshit. I promise you. Nothing happened. Well, we're going to see, though. We're going to see what's going to happen. But you could stop at any time. I tell people that when they're the aggressor, it's like you hold all the cards. You can stop at any time. You can choose to walk away and stop and let it go. But you choose not to. You choose to continue to do these things. So who is puppeting you? Are you on demonic autopilot, as Barry said? Is that what it is? You're on demonic autopilot. You just can't stop. You like Diddy? Can't stop, won't stop. That's what it is? Baby oil. Baby oil. There you go, Barry again. Look at that. Under bondage via witchcraft. And then the guy's going to come out and go, as some of you may have seen, he was doing show. He's talking about me. I'm so proud to be talked about. I'm just happy someone's talking about me. I'm talking about you because you need to go get help, mental help. If it's not mental, it's spiritual help.
I mean, hey,
all of the above. You need some.
You want to talk about us going to jail and facing legal consequences and all that, but what is all this here? I wonder what all this is. Because, see, we're not the ones who ended up in court on the 27th of November, on the 11th of December, on the 18th of December, and have another court date. It says here, February 2nd, 2025 at 11 a.m. I wonder what all that is. You see all that? That's all you, my friend. That is all you. That's not me. That's not Wolf's name on there. Those are all your court appearances.
Hey.
I wonder why.
He's going to make a show tonight about Giles. Okay.
I wonder.
Giles is doing bad.
I wonder what they found on your phone. Why don't you tell your audience that? Why don't you tell them the kind of stuff they found all over your phone? You want to tell them that? No, you don't want to. I bet you don't. I bet you're scared to tell them that, huh?
Well, and let's talk about all those people that are running over there to be buddies with you. How are you going to explain to them? Yeah, when your big show flops. You've been talking about the big show, and it's all coming out. It's all going to come out. Give me donations. Come on now. Give me donations, folks. It's all coming out. It's all going to come. Yeah, right. Yum, you like. Sure it is. It's all going to come out. Everybody's coming along, giving me stories, and they're telling me about them, and they're all videoing each other and recording each other. It's happening. It's all happening. Shut up. Shut up, Ike. Just shut up. Nobody cares.
All I know is you better not be late to your court date on February 2nd, 2025 at 11 a.m. in front of Judge Lander.
He's being protected, though, because he's 152nd. Literally, he's 152nd Cherokee. So he's being protected.
I wonder what Judge Lander thinks.
I think somebody should go to the news and tell them, hey, they're protecting this guy. He needs to be dealt with. That's what I think, Ike. How about that? You know what you guys should do? Go watch the documentary about the Earps. And it's like a documentary they have. I think it's on like Netflix or Hulu or something like that.
Yeah.
Netflix about the Earps and the Cowboy War. And look at Ike on there. And look at the parallels between him and this guy. And then ask yourself why we call him Ike. Right? And you're such a hypocrite. You want to talk about people being fat, dude? I don't look like you. You look like you swallowed a basketball. You're a fat, pudgy dude with you're just gross, dude. It's unbelievable how unhealthy you look. Children of the corn on the. And then you talk about not hurting women and children, whatever. What are you doing? What have you done? Not only that, but you love to talk about people being trolls. You call me a troll. I don't go around on other people's shows and troll them. I don't make fake accounts and pop up in people's live streams. You got like 1,000 fake profiles, dude. Cleghorn McGee or whatever it is you bullshit call yourself. It's crazy. It's unbelievable the stuff you do. This is just one of them, folks. There's about 30, 40 of these people. And they're all together in these groups, talking shit because they got nothing better to do. But there's some people that have, a little bit of common sense, and then they're like, whoa, what the F? And then they apologize. They're like, dude, I didn't know they were like that. I didn't, And Fluffy, Stay Fluff Marshmallow Man, what is your deal, dude? Like, look at you. Jealous as the day is long, dude. Won't stop acting like a girl. Running around with people that were your devout enemies. You had the enemy. Now you're your buddies. Flip flopping like you don't like a flapjack. You don't know which side you're on. But this is it right here. This is what we're doing. Because somehow I'm the bad guy. And if it wasn't me, you'd find someone else to hate. You'd eat each other because evil is not loyal.
Yeah, I don't know what the meaning of the word friend is.
No, there's no loyalty.
Y'all don't even really like each other. Y'all just hate my uncle here. That's pretty much it. Y'all are like orcs. Remember we were talking about that?
Oh yeah, Lord of the Rings.
Y'all are like orcs. Y'all don't even like each other. Like y'all really don't. Y'all aren't friends. Y'all would just as easily turn on each other. But the only thing that unites any of y'all is that y'all hate him. That is it. Y'all aren't friends. None of y'all would lift a finger for the other. Y'all have no concept of what that means because you have no friends. You don't care about anyone. You barely care about you don't care about yourselves. You hate yourselves, and your physical appearance reflects that. I mean, you don't take care of yourselves at all. You're all filthy, unhealthy, just disgusting. Your visage is disgusting, all of you. One of you looks like you're wearing a skin suit and your face is melting. And the other one of you looks like the Crypt Keeper. Remember that dude from Tales from the Crypt? I love your show, though. I used to watch it all the time when I was a kid. That was one of my favorite shows. I loved you when you hosted that show. But now, not so much.
Now you run around with no sleeves.
And the other one, when you walk, you got to do the fat walk like this. You got to swing your arms out to the side like that. And when we took you to the gym, I saw girls in there half your size lifting twice the amount of weight you were lifting, and you were struggling. So I don't know why you pipe up.
Yeah, why are you even talking? Why are you even running your mouth?
I don't know why any of you talk. I mean, why do you talk? Why? Like, what is the point? You have nothing of interest to say. No one has ever learned anything useful by listening to any of you speak. You're just morons, and ugly ones at that. So
well, and at the end of the day, I'm just grateful that I didn't get hurt by the cosplayer when he was here, because if I would have said the wrong thing, he was going to give me a knuckle sandwich. Apparently. I didn't know this at the time.
That'd be a neat trick.
Okay, I didn't know this, but apparently I'm lucky because I ain't ever been up against a real redneck. Well, I'm just glad that I didn't get destroyed. But anyways, who wants to hear a ghost story? Because I got a good one. This one came from Falfurious. You know where that is? If you don't, that's fine. It's down in South Texas. This person, okay, this is going to sound crazy, but the show talks about a lot of crazy stuff. This person really actually just 100%. They're like, look, man, I believe in the Lechusa. And I'm like, really? Because I do too. Never seen it. Well, I've seen something that someone told me was probably a Lechusa. And then you're going like, really? Because I was really high. I was 21 years old and I saw a bird-like thing go across the road. And I don't count that as one of my encounters because we were smoking, dude. It just, let's be honest. Let's quit pretending like we're all pious and holy. I'm not. Let Hughes without sin cast the first stone. I'm not going to be the first one to throw a stone. I might throw a rock, but I'm not going to be the first one because I know my sins. And I used to smoke hella weed, man, for real. And so everybody says, oh, that was a Lechusa or whatever. Well, I have people who've actually seen these things. What I saw just looked like a really large bird. I don't know. And it was white. I seen a white owl looking thing fly in front of my vehicle. I saw one on 620. And it could have been something. I don't know. So this person claims that he saw this. His name is Albert. And what he said, his grandmother lives down there, like a little bit out in the country out there in Falfurrias. And he said that he lives in Corpus and he's a good friend with one of my friends. There's a DJ up here in Austin, and he goes down there to Corpus regularly. And so he said, hey, my friend DJ Snoop told me that you were, I'm sorry, DJ Scoop told me that you whatever. And this guy used to work in the clubs years ago, whatever. He's sort of retired now, and he's just down there. All he's doing now, he's on disability because of a car wreck, but he fishes. But he's one of those, he got hit, and he actually got paid. You know what I mean? So he's got a lot of pain, but he's like, dude, Scoop's like, I can't complain, dude. He's like, I'm living my best life. I'm out here fishing every day on the pier, and I got $3 million, after, the settlement. So he's cool, and he invested well, and he's made more money, and he's got a business there. But anyway, he's a good guy. I've known him for a long time. His name's Carlos, and so he had a friend. He says, man, my friend went to visit his Borlita, his grandmother, down in Falfurrias, and he says, dude, he had a crazy story to tell. But it's more like a ghost story. So one night they were sitting around and they were talking, telling stories, and it was about the Lechusa. They were saying, hey, somebody up near Robstown had an encounter. And we've talked about Robstown with Mark De Leon when he gave me a story about the knot deer, what he had seen. And if I saw something like that, I would not stick around. I can tell you that. But that whole area is really spooky. And that whole South Texas corridor. Well, I don't even know what part of Texas isn't spooky, really. I don't want to be east. I don't want to be in the west. I don't want to be in the north. I don't want to be in the south. I don't want to be in the central, in the middle of the night, in the middle of nowhere in Texas, because there's just too much shit out here, dude. I'm going to be honest with you. So when he was there, he goes, they were having a barbecue and they were making cabrita. You know what that is? It's goat. And of course, it involves a kid's birthday party. I'm joking. Actually, it wasn't. No, it was a reception from a quinceañera. And so he had gone down there to visit his grandmother, and his cousin had her sweet 15, and so they were down there, and they were barbecuing cabrita. And he goes, and everybody's drinking. There's like 30, 40 Mexicans out there, man, and maybe 10, 12 drunk rednecks, and everybody's out there, and he goes, and we start shooting guns and being Texans. That's what people do, And he said there was this one black guy out there named Henry. He goes, and everybody, he's like an honorary Mexican. Everybody loved him. He's a really great guy, whatever. He goes, so we started teasing him. We're like, hey, there's this creature called the Lechusa, and it's racist. They're trying to mess with this guy. And so you remember when Steven Rieger, my cousin, is talking about how Kim Teeler, guy I played ball with years ago. Yeah. He's a black dude, and they scared him the same way. And they're like, hey, and they're like, this is a creature. It doesn't like black people. It's evil, it's whatever. And he's like, really? And Henry's been living down there a long time. So he's like, I don't think he was buying it. And he goes, I'm sure he's heard these little BS stories before. And he goes, really? He goes, well, prove it. He goes, how do you summon one of these things? I said, well, if you whistle 3 times, and they made up some crap, like you got to walk around they had like one of those park benches that they had stole inside his backyard. And so he said, dude, it was in the backyard, and he goes, and so we were walking around it, or we told him, hey, you got to walk around 3 times. You got to clap your hands. He's like, and then you got to whistle. Well, the whistling part is true. That really is true. You can summon a lechusa by whistling in like a certain way, but you have to do it exactly. You have to do it 3 times.
Yeah, and if you hear it, like if you hear a whistle at night, you're not supposed to whistle back.
You don't whistle back. So anyway, they were all there. They were having a good time. And so Scoop had told me, he says, hey, man, get in touch with this guy. He's got a crazy story or whatever. So I did. And this is what he told me. He said, so he goes, we were tricking my friend Henry. Henry is married to a Hispanic woman, and his children are mixed, whatever. And one of his sons is already in his 20s, and he speaks fluent Spanish, And so he says, no, Dad, you gotta say it in Spanish. You gotta, So they started saying in Spanish, like telling it to come to me, And so he says, come on, come on. And so he walks around the table 3 times, and then they're all standing there. He goes, like 30, 40 people, it's like midnight. He goes, it's like in April, and he goes, the weather was nice. He goes, and then all of a sudden the wind just blew in real hard, and it was cold. Like late April down there in South Texas. It's going to be warm, right? And he goes, and the wind blew in, and it was cold, like a cold gust of wind blew in. He's like, and Gustavo, that's one of the guys that was there. He was hanging out, and Gustavo, this guy's cousin, he told him, he says, let's not play around like this. We need to stop. This is not, you don't tempt these things.
Yeah.
And then everybody was kind of like, it was mixed reaction. Some people were like, you're right. We should stop. We should quit playing around. We were just kidding, Henry, whatever. These things aren't really racist. They're pretty much indiscriminately evil, And some of the white guys that were there, were like, yeah, these things, they exist, I thought it was just like a Mexican folktale, but I'd seen one. And then a few other people started talking about they'd seen one, whatever. And then Henry's son's friend had said, that he had seen one. And his son's friend, he's not friend, is his cousin on his side, on his dad's side. And he's an African-American kid. And he's like, I've seen one of these things when I was up in San Antonio. And so he starts telling the story, and everybody starts listening. And then another person tells a story. And then another person. Next thing you know, there's about a half a dozen people that swear up and down they've seen lechusa. That's this bird-like witch. It's a bruja that can transform into like this bird. It's a shapeshifter, but it takes the form of an owl, and it can morph into like a human, and it can look like something in between. It's a very terrifying entity. It looks like a harpy, like a demonic-looking being, like a harpy. And so everybody's, kind of freaked out at this point. They're like, whoa. And then it got really cold. And then there was this fog that kind of rolled in, and everybody was like, and it wasn't like out in the country where there was desolate. There was nobody around, She had a couple neighbors, but they were, you couldn't throw a rock and hit their house.
Yeah.
But you could see their house, And so they kind of got freaked out, and a bunch of people went inside. They were just like, his grandma's got a nice big house. And so they went inside, and at this point, everybody's kind of debating about, what if it's real? Well, the guy who told me this story, he's like, dude, I go home that night, and he goes, as I'm driving home, he's like, I'm with my oldest daughter, because that was her friend's, the quinceañera was for her friend, and they had it out at his grandmother's property because she has a big place with a big, like 4 acres of land, whatever. And so, yeah, Wedge, you may be right. Wedge just said something very interesting. That could be correct. What you think? What that may be. Thank you, Sailor Nemesis. Thank you for that donation. We appreciate it. Donations are not expected, but they are appreciated, of course. So, Wedge, I think you could be correct. Now, Anthony and I and Tony, we've all grown up Nellie too. We're all of Hispanic heritage except for Tony. But Tony is Taiwanese and Vietnamese. And he grew up with this same sort of, don't talk about it because you're going to bring it up. This thing will leave you alone if you don't talk about it. I don't totally believe that. I think it's going to come if it's going to come. But giving it attention could be a form of like, I don't know. I would say definitely don't go to the area where they're at and just challenge it. Because people do that. They'll be like, come on, goat man, let's go. What's up? Blah, blah, blah. I think that's stupid. You shouldn't take your shirt off and wave it around and challenge demons to fistfights like a soccer hooligan. I mean, come on, let's just be honest. So what ends up happening, they do talk about this. And to the point where he goes, I'm not going to lie. He goes, it was on my mind. He goes, but I had 4 beer. And he goes, and I had been drinking since 4 in the afternoon. It was 1:30 when I left.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay. So you had 4 beers, but they were Modelo Negro.
Mm-hmm.
I said, those pretty stout. He goes, and I may have had a Guinness. I said, okay. So 5. One of them's like motor oil, and the other ones are motor oil light. But they're pretty heavy. They'll get you there. And he goes, and I am a skinny guy. He goes, I'm a lightweight. I'm not a big dude. And he said that he was driving. He goes, and I see this like white flash go across my vehicle. He's like, and then I look and I see it, and there's this wingspan on this bird that must have been like 8 feet across the wingspan. He goes, and I thought that is the most unnatural looking bird. He goes, and my daughter and my oldest son is in the back seat. And he's like, 15. He's like, my 16-year-old daughter's right next to me. And they're like, whoa, Dad, what is that? Whoa. And he's like, what? And he said, now, when he drank, he said it had been about 3 hours since he had drank.
Mm-hmm.
So he felt like he was sober. So he said, look, I'm not judging. That's, whatever. But he said that it was, he lived, where he was going to be staying with his cousin was not far away. So he wasn't going for no long drive. And him and his wife are separated, and the kids, they stay there down in Falfurrias, and he lives up in Corpus. But he said, he goes, I wanted to spend time with my kids. And so the next day he goes, we go out there to this park, and we play baseball, not baseball, but his daughter plays softball.
Mm-hmm.
And his son plays baseball. So they got a bunch of the family and some friends together. And so Henry, the African-American guy that they were teasing, he comes to the field, and they start hitting balls. And the next thing you know, they have enough people. So they have a little game, pickup game. And they start talking. And so he says, I had a weird dream last night. He goes, and right then he goes, it was like, second, third inning. We're just playing ball, whatever. We're out there, 20 something people, And he said, when he told me that, he goes, it's like my chest got tight, my head got hot. And he's like, and I'm thinking, oh, he's the F word, OF. He's like, I had a dream too. And he just remembered it. Because when he was taking a shower that morning, he says, I knew something was wrong, but I couldn't put my finger on it. Like something had happened. Then he remembered. He said he was at his cousin's house. Okay. And his cousin, they call him Pepe. But Pepe gave him a blanket, or as he called it, a cocha. And he says, and then I went to bed. He goes, and my kids came in there and kissed me goodnight, whatever, and I said, go meet me. And I said, go sleep, right? And he says, he said, looking at my phone, he goes, and I fell asleep looking at my phone. He says, I wake up in the middle of the night. It's dark. He goes, and I see my phone float up in the air. He's like, and it's the screen comes on, and I'm looking at it. And I'm like, what am I looking at? And he goes, and then I realize there's like something holding the phone, and then it sets it down onto the nightstand. Mm-hmm. He goes, and I sit up, and he goes, it's like I'm horrified at what I'm looking at. And he's like, and I'm looking at this. He goes, but it was a dream. He goes, I felt like I was in a dream, right? He says, and I see this thing kind of expand and then go back, and then it moves to the corner of the room. And he's like, and I'm laying there. And so he goes, my cousin's bed, it's his daughter's room. She's away at college. She goes to TCU. And he goes, and I grab a pillow and I toss it toward the corner of the room, and I see these wings come up. He goes, and when it does, it flaps up toward the ceiling, and then it goes backwards out the wall, about 4 feet off the ground, and it's gone out the room. He goes, and then I wake up in the morning, and I don't remember it. And I'm thinking, man, I had a dream or something. I couldn't remember it. So he goes, after Henry started telling me about this weird dream he had, and he goes, it was just where something black had crawled up over on the top of him, and he looked up at it, and it looked like it had a bird's beak. That's all he remembered. And he goes, and this guy, they went to school together, like he's known this guy for years, whatever. He goes, and me and Henry are sitting there going, like, what in the hell could that be? He's like, and then there was this guy, we call him John Boy. Because he's John Boy Walton. The Gen X remember that as reruns, but the older generation, that was a show. It's called The Waltons, and he's a white guy. He's a Woodleo, and his name is Jackie. And he says Jackie told him the same thing. He goes, "Are y'all talking about a dream?" Like, because he said this guy's always got like a big wad of dip in his mouth, And he says he comes over there and he says, "Dude, I nearly choked because you started coughing when you heard him talking." And they're like, "You okay?" And he's like, "No, I almost choked." He's like, "What are y'all talking about?" He says, "Dude, we were talking about just dreams we had last night." And he goes, "Dude, I had a dream too." He was at the party, and it was him and this guy named Mark. He's Hispanic. So these people are all different races, all walks of life. So it's not like to me, it's not like La Llorona. La Llorona, it doesn't happen to anyone but Mexican people.
Yeah.
It's like in the sangre, like in your blood or something. And this could be more of like a sesos, like a brain thing, like in your head or something. I don't know, like a head trip. I don't know, but it messes with your head, And you're trying to wrap your brain around it, and you can't, because this dude and Mark, they all had dreams, and so get this, they're all like, "Wow, we all dreamed about this thing." But think about it though. The skeptic will say they all went to bed thinking about this thing. Right? So maybe that's why you have a dream about it, right? Because you went to bed and you're thinking about it. But this is the deal. This is what really freaked me out, and this is what was really messed up. He goes back to his cousin's place before he gets ready to leave. And he's saying goodbye and everything. He goes in there and he's packed up all of his stuff, and he looks, and there in the corner of the room, he picks it up. There's a black feather laying there on the floor. And he's like, "What in the hell is that?" So he takes it, and then he shows his cousin. His cousin Pepe's like, "What is that?" And his cousin's name is Jose. And Jose. Tell them about Jose Pepe so they understand.
Who, me?
Yeah. What? People in the Mexican culture.
Are you talking about the nickname?
The name. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Pepe is just a nickname for whatever reason for someone named Jose. Just like if someone's name is Jesus, they call him Chewy. Just how it works. I mean, no rhyme or reason.
It's like Dick and Richard.
Just like Dick and Richard, William and Bill.
It
just is what it is, man.
Never understood it. I always wondered that, why my uncle's name was William and my great uncle, and they called him Billy. I couldn't tell you. My Uncle Bill, his real name is William, and it's the same thing, I know it's Chewy, and it's Jesus, and he was in my book, actually. Somebody just posted that about my book. And so he'll post that right there about Nelly's group. So he finds this black feather and he tells, Pepe, and Pepe's like, "I have no idea. Jose doesn't know what the hell he's talking about."
Mm-hmm.
He's like, what is that? He goes, "It's like, I found it in the room." He's like, "Would your daughter have anything?" Like, so he called his daughter, not right then, but he's on his way home. He's like, "I'm halfway to Corpus," and my cousin calls. He says, "Primo," that's cousin, in Spanish. And he says, he goes, "No, hombre," and she don't know anything about it, dude. There's no, he goes, "I got the feather right here," and he says, "Take that thing and burn it." And he told him about the dream. Well, for about 2 weeks after this happened, Pepe and his wife were going through some really weird stuff involving what they believe was this Lechusa spirit type creature. And it goes deeper than that. And we're going to talk about that on one of the pre-records. We've decided that we're going to talk about that. But yeah, and so Henry, being that he's black and Mark is Hispanic, and you know, the other dude, John Boy, he's a white guy. They're all witnessing this at the same time. They're having these dreams. Whereas, like, that to me is the difference. Because, you know, my cousin Trey, he's on my dad's side, he claims to have had a Lechusa encounter. But I don't know anybody who's had La Llorona other than Mecanos. And so, I don't know. Call me crazy, but I think that it has something to do with you know, the heritage.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. Anyways, dude, I think that's a really weird story, but we're going to get into that. So what happened with Pepe and I believe her name is Yolanda. I think it's Pepe and Yolanda. And we'll get into what happened to them. They have a ranch way out in the middle of nowhere, and it's creepy stuff. He had what may or may not have been a Dogman encounter. I have not gotten into it with him. But down near Alice, his uncle on his mother's side, or maybe no, it would be his father's side. They cornered something in a barn that had killed one of their burros, and they said that it looked like a wolf man, hombre lobo. So I don't know, but that's he's got that story, and then he's got the whole Lechusa thing that went on. I don't know how many of you guys actually listened to the show from Wednesday. You got to check it out. There was this crazy stuff that happened to Cece, which was Luis's cousin or Luis's brother. Luis was the guy that we talked about on the live stream, and then he had his brother and what happened to him. The only way I could describe that creature, like a dog man with goat legs. Goat dog. Dog goat. Goat wolf. Wolf goat. Goat man. Wolf dog. Wolf goat. No. Meh. Meh. It's confused. I don't know. I don't want to make fun because then something could happen. Don't have too much fun.
He can't seem to commit.
He doesn't know what he's doing. Chris Anderson says, "I'm late." Yeah, you're late, man. You're very late. But you know what? That's what replay is for. I sound like Odie there. That's what replay is for. He talks just like, I love the way he talks. He's like a Creole.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Creole people. He's not Creole, but he talks like them because he's around them.
Yeah.
And he's around a lot of Cajuns. But he said his friend Richter, he said, "Oh, you should hear my friend Richter talk. He talked just like," I was like, "Man, I can hear you talk." You talking about, "I'm gonna go to crawfish show. I'm gonna give me some food. I'm gonna call you back when I get back. I'm gonna tell you this story, and you're gonna be scared." And I said, "Okay." I was thinking, you know, I've heard this 1,000 times. It did scare me. I was outside in the truck, and I was like, it was getting dark. I was like looking around, like, I don't know, man. You know, you're out in the middle of nowhere. You know, armed to the teeth. I mean, you're like, you know, you're ready to go. And then they start talking, and you're like down on the floorboard. I'm messing with you, Randy. Randy's gonna be like, you. He's gonna get mad. I'm kidding, Randy, man. I'm joking with you, man. Thank you for your story, Odie. Thank you for your story. It was incredible. Thank you for the privilege of being able to tell the stories. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you to everybody who donated. Thank you to everybody. We're going to do the giveaway. If you're still here, you're with us. If you're in green, tell us right now. The first person that says, "I have not won." We got a problem, though. From last weekend or the last giveaway, only one person sent us their email and their shirt size. What are you doing? Don't you want to win?
You know this stuff is free, right? I mean, not for us, but for you.
You're not having to shoot dice for this, you know. Nikki McSporn has a good one. He says, you know what? He says, I love asking skeptics, explain deja vu. We've all experienced it. Wolf, can you tell us what you think it is? Man, I can tell you this. There is a lot of different thought into this. And my wife is writing some stuff about this. And she asked me the other day, she was like, what about deja vu? When she's on the show again, ask that question, because she gave me and Anthony, and I think my brother, wasn't it all four of us? She was giving us an entire rundown on what she thought it was. I get deja vu because, see, there's this person named Maddie who will call us, right? And then you're like, again, oh, she's going to ask the same question again. And so I'm like, hello? Yeah, just a quick question. And then she repeats it. And I'm like, wow, deja vu. So to me, deja vu is connected to that person that's constant. And she's not the only one. There's another one that does it, Kim.
Yeah.
Kim, and Kim watches the show. He's probably watching. I don't want to make fun of you, Kim. You know, he works with us. Kim does the deja vu quite a bit. And he'll go, like, is it okay? Like, you know, if I just, like, you know, go to the store real quick and say, yes, you got 10 minutes. They said you could go.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay. Can I get a chocolate milk? And I don't give a damn what you buy.
There's no restroom on this site. Is it okay if I like leave to go to the restroom at the gas station? Like, dude, the same thing I told you last time you asked me this question at a different place. Yes, you have no choice. Just go. Oh, okay.
You sound just like it. Okay.
Or like, do I do a report at this site? Yes, dude. Do a report at this site.
You told him every site.
Just like you do at every site.
Report. What
Okay.
do you gotta do?
Do I need to like take pictures? Yes. Take pictures and write details on your report. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
This dude. Oh God, it's every time with this guy too. Anyways, dude. Yeah, that's a good impression. And then he'll call me
a million times.
Well, him and Maddie do the same thing. I swear they're twins. And then they'll call me and they'll go,
they're about the same height too.
They'll go, so I already asked Anthony, but I wanted to make sure. And I'm like, I always tell Kim, I'm very calm. I said, Kim, you know how busy I am. Do you realize that I time my showers to 3.5 minutes? I really do that. I take cold showers. Sometimes I feel like I need to take more, then I go to 5 minutes. I do not go beyond that. I do my breathing exercises every day religiously. Anthony knows that. 7 minutes, breath. Sometimes
Wim Hof.
3 times a week, I do 8 minutes. And then on about once a week, I do a 12-minute. I don't hold, that's not all at once. And, you know, you'd be dead.
It's like go for 3-4 rounds.
A really
of
powerful
breathing.
Japanese skin diver might be able to do 5 without dying. But no, I can't. The most I got so far is like 3 minutes and 45 seconds, which is quite a bit. To hold your breath for 3 minutes, 45 seconds. And I thought, learn how to breathe, you know, like it's like that song. What's that song from what's that group? He says, I'm breathing in.
Imagine Dragons.
Imagine Dragons. And he's like, that's what you do. You're like, you know, you breathe in. And then he's like, hold for 15 seconds. And you're like, then you feel this rush of energy all over you. It feels so good. And then after that, you wait 5-10 minutes, and then you jump in the shower and take an ice cold shower. And let me tell you something, living out there in the country, the water, when it's like 50 degrees outside, that water comes out really, really cold. You are cold as a witch's behind. And it is rough. And then, but then you get acclimated to it. You're like, oh, this is, you know, it becomes relaxing.
Yeah, as long as you like control your breathing, like you have to pay attention to your breathing when that cold hits you, because you're gonna want to like hyperventilate, go shit, you know, it's cold. But like if you just consciously breathe slowly and relax, then you'll get used to it.
You'll get used to it. And let me tell you something. It'll make you young. It'll keep you young. People ask me my secrets. I say oxygen, lifting weights, I believe, is a fountain of youth. And this is my natural hair, you know. I don't diet. I mean, dude, just breathe and lift weights. Lift weights. You have to lift weights. And you can't just run. You can run, but keep the running. Now, my friend, she was an Olympic medalist, gold medalist, Yvonne. She told me and Anthony yesterday, she still runs. She's a world-class sprinter from Germany. But she says, I still run, but I don't do more than 30 or 35 minutes. She's like, the problem is these people, they run too much. And she's actually black, but she's from Germany. It's very interesting when she talks. Her sister is an actress.
Actress, yeah.
And her husband is a Mohawk, Native American guy. Very interesting. He's a Bigfoot believer. And I really need to get him on the show. There's so many people, we just can't. We don't have time. We just do the show, you know. But very interesting people. They were world-class Olympic medalists. And she says, don't do more than 30 to 35 minutes of cardio. And she only does it 3 times a week. And she looks amazing. She's not out of shape at all. Holistic medicine. And she's got a really bad what's it called?
Immunodeficiency.
Immunodeficiency. But it's called something else. She's got an immune problem. What do you call it? Where your body attacks itself? I forgot what it's called. She's got
autoimmune.
An autoimmune disease. Yeah, I'm so tired. But she's got something. I forgot what it is, what it's called. But it messes with you. So I don't think it's Crohn's. There's Maddie right there. There's deja vu.
That was a really good dad joke, Chris Anderson. He said, what do you call an alligator in a jacket? And then I was like waiting for him to drop it. And he did. And he didn't disappoint. He said, an investigator. I'm going to steal that one. I got a good dad joke for you. What do you call a bear with no teeth? A gummy bear.
Well, I got dad bod. How about a dad bod? How about a dad bod? You have a dad bod until she's mad at you. Then you're a fat
yeah. And then you're a fat lump of crap.
You're just a fat piece of shit. Okay. Yeah. My wife don't call me that because I'm built like a Greek god. Right? I'm joking. But no, but she's got an autoimmune disease, and I can't remember what it is. It's not lupus. But she exercises, you know, moderately. She's in great shape, and she says, yeah, the free radicals will hit your body beyond 35, especially if you're doing aerobic exercise. And she doesn't look her age.
No.
And neither does her sister. But let me tell you something, man. Good supplements, good supplementation. Eating healthy. And you don't even have to eat like super duper healthy, but eat moderately healthy. It'll work wonders. Just eating the right things. You know, eating lots of vegetables, eat lots of salads, things like that. And you can make your food taste good without having to, you know.
And it's not more expensive. I'm tired of that excuse.
Yeah, that's a big
What's
excuse.
expensive is eating snacky cakes and drinking sodas and
you know what
sugary goodies.
It takes a little more work.
Oh, yeah.
Because sometimes you have to make it and things like that.
It's not expensive to eat less. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. I've lost like 30-something pounds, you know, since I had the gout. So I guess for those that cursed me, hey, you know, thanks for the weight loss. And but I still got this little fat, little chubby head. I got to look at this.
The Campbell soup is good food head.
And you know what's so funny is I was like, I'm making fun of myself, right? And then they're gonna take a meme and go, look at him, you know, and they're gonna make fun of me for it. You're gonna make fun of me for it anyway.
Oh, he's finally lost it. He's finally snapped for the 15th time. It's finally but this time it's real, guys. That's it for him. He's lost his mind. Oh, he's doing the Fred Durst now. It's over for Josh Turner.
That's this one. That's this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, he lost.
Rolling.
So yeah, so that's they're gonna make fun of me, man. It's gonna be It's going to be whatever, and they're going to put the curses on me and the whatever whatever they're going to do. And then you're supposed to be, you know, like, you know, but when you don't even give a shit, what does it matter? You know, they're over here, you know, thinking about me and all this other. I'm thinking like, I wonder if I could eat all of those grapes before anybody notices that they're gone.
I'm thinking like,
that's what I'm thinking.
I'm thinking like, what the hell did that song even mean? I did it all for the. What was that Limbit? I did it all for the Nookie.
What is that?
I don't know. Like, what is that? Is that like some kind of sexual thing? Like what?
I don't know, but let's not get into it on this show. You're just giving them ammunition now.
Song name.
They were talking about porn.
That's like one of the dumbest song names I've ever heard. That and
who sings it?
Limp Bizkit, Fred Durst, whatever.
Gosh,
and then Red Hot Chili Peppers have some of the dumbest song names you ever heard too.
Yeah.
As well as some of the worst music ever. God, I hate that band, dude. I cannot stand them. They have like 4 or 5, you know, really good songs, some of the coolest music you ever heard. And then all of them are just, all the other ones just garbage. You just throw them away.
Yeah, you're right. And each
Give it to your mama. Your mouth was made to suck my kiss.
Like, what? Dude. God, give me a rubber mallet for your head, dude. God.
Yeah, that's definitely, we don't want to get into all that because they're going to just, you know, they were talking bad. If I could just get rid of this, you know, this, you know, then I would just look. But then if I got when I lose too much and it goes in, when I lose it in my face, I start to look gaunt. And people are like, "Are you okay? Did you stop eating mayonnaise? What's wrong with you?" Were you addicted to mayonnaise? Is it okay if I eat mayonnaise? I mean, I could go outside. Like, what is that? What's his name? Gaffigan?
Oh, yeah.
People are like, you stop drinking? Why? Like, you know, it's like, never happens with anything else.
Yeah.
But like, you don't eat mayonnaise? Why?
Yeah.
Were you addicted to mayonnaise? Is it okay if I use it? I mean, I could go outside. No, it never happens with anything else. That's it. People will tell you too, like, you're looking good. Yesterday, I was visiting some friends, and I went to their store because it's Christmas time, and I had to get my wife something for Christmas and my nephew. Happy birthday to Anthony. Yesterday was his birthday, right?
Oh, yeah. I already forgot.
Yeah, yesterday was your birthday. So he's 20, thank goodness.
Yep.
And so, yeah.
20 years young.
20 years young. And so then
next year I'll be 19.
He's going in. He's Benjamin. He's the Benjamin Button.
Yeah.
He's the Mexican version of Benjamin Button. So what ends up happening? I go over there and they're like, you look like you're losing weight. And then, you know, Raheem's like, are you okay? Like, you know, because I've lost weight. I'm like, dude, I'm fine. I'm more healthy now. But thank you for thinking that I'm sick. I appreciate that. Yeah. Because, well, I knew you had that illness. I'm like, gout?
AIDS? Nobody got AIDS.
Jump right to the, you know, hey, sorry, man. They didn't know you only had 2 days to live. I mean, it's horrible. All right, folks. So anyway, thank you for everybody who donated. Thank you for everybody who's helped out. We appreciate it. We got to pick people here. So if you haven't won, let me know right now. You haven't won if you're in green. If your name is in green and you are a member. Can't do non-members because it's not fair to the people who buy the membership. And a couple of them have been vocal about that. And I agree. I understand.
Thank you for all the birthday wishes, everyone. I appreciate it.
What do you mean all the birthday wishes? 4 or 5
They're
people?
all over the screen.
There's like 4 or 5 people that give a shit. Nobody else cares about your birthday.
Look at the damn screen.
Ever since you were a kid,
they're all over the.
I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. That's it. 5 people.
I mean,
out of 400.
I don't really care about my birthday either because because I'm a grown man. I'm not a child.
They don't care.
But they're being nice, saying happy birthday.
I don't see anything. I can say this.
Well, of course you can't see anything. You need LASIK.
Okay. I see Madeline. See Feliz cumpleaños. Happy birthday. I see. Let's see who else we got here. Tara says happy birthday. Lucy says happy birthday. Ace, Amy. That's about it. You got 4 people. 5 people. Nobody cares.
So either you can't read
I've been
correctly,
telling you since you were
or
a
you
child,
can't count correctly,
nobody cares about your birthday,
or both.
My brother is a
Dude,
big
I
birthday
stopped
guy.
caring about my
Hold on,
birthday when
time
I
out,
was
time
like
out.
12.
Pause it. Does D not care about his birthday way too much?
Way too much.
Okay, way too much. In the household, who's the person that cares about the birthday?
Just him.
This him, right? So did I not tell you when you were a kid? I said nobody cares about your birthday but you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so nobody cares about your birthday but you. You agree with that?
Yeah.
So nobody cares. So shut up. I win.
But I'm saying
Slim Jimmy says
they're
happy
being
birthday,
nice.
but he gave me $10, so we like him because he gave us $10. That's it.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Bad Boy Channel. Hold on. He says, I already won. I got it, and I love it. Thank you for being a part of this, and you got your deal. We're glad. So 86 lipo. Exactly. Just in your face, though. Just like and take it out of your face. That's it. Oh, BJ LaPierre, author and illustrator. Tomorrow is my birthday. It's 22nd. I had my mom in the hospital that year. I was 10-month baby, needed to bake longer. Then I was born in a haunted hospital.
Oh.
There's a lot of hospitals that are haunted, man. Let me tell you, they probably all are. There's people who have story upon story about stuff. Come on, guys, we gotta do the giveaways. Who's gonna say if you haven't won? Let's do this. If you haven't won, and you're in green.
I mean, has everybody who's watching right now in green won?
I don't know. There's got to be somebody. If not, then we're gonna do what we did the other day and just give people more stuff. Don't be green with envy, folks. Get a membership. It's only $5.
Don't be green with envy. Be green with a membership. There we go. Underfire 987 and Alex Wright. They haven't won.
Okay. Underfire says I have not won. Then what do you mean? I have not won. Then
hang on. Whoa, yeah. Hang on now. You're gonna have to elaborate on that.
Smoking green count. Well, if Tony was here, he'd say yes. But Tony, unfortunately, is working.
Only if you share it
trying to
with
make that
Tony.
money.
But he's not here to partake.
Alex Wright says I already won before. Okay. $86 says I haven't. Are you shipping to Australia yet? Well, we had agreed, and it's the person that won the other day that was from Australia, they never got back with us on the shipping. We were willing to split it with them. So we can look into it. Send me your information, 86, and we'll look into it. And maybe we can split it if you're willing to split it with us because it's really expensive. JFA says I've won 9 times already.
Somehow I doubt that. Okay, so under fire.
So sweet. She gave everybody a membership. There are 5 people. There you go.
Let's see.
Zara Gonzalez says I'm a new tier member. What does that mean? Are you a Patreon member? Because if you're a Patreon member, you're getting your flag. You'll get that anyway.
Okay, so far we have Under Fire, who hasn't won.
Valerie, you haven't won? Valerie, guys, you've never won? I thought you won before.
Are you lying, Valerie?
Are you lying?
I'm gonna know if you're lying. You can't lie to the knife hand, to the tiny knife hand. The knife hand knows all. And it's gonna smack you through this camera if you're lying to it. Don't lie to the plastic hand.
Valerie says no. She says I'm serious. Okay, Valerie, send us your information. Tiny hand man, calm down. Send us your information. So Zara Gonzalez says, "How do I be one in YouTube?" You want to tell her how to do that?
How do you become a member?
Yeah.
So I think it like if you're on an Android, then what? I thought it was your real Slim. Oh,
Slim Jimmy.
Thought it was my real hand.
Baby hand, little tiny baby hand. Oh my gosh, it looks so freaking weird. It does.
It does. Weird.
It looks like your hand, dude. Oh my god!
Look at that angle. It's like these long alien fingers.
I'll give you a strong.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Alex, right? Grab my hand.
Take my strong hand. Hang on, let me get it all deflected. Take my little hand.
Give me a standing ovation.
Yeah. I made them by hand.
And then he's all.
Oh, hang on, wait. I made them by hand.
What about the turkey?
Yeah. You just had to. What's the?
You have to lick it. I don't know what that is, but I'm gonna lick it anyway.
Yeah, it's like you need to know the anatomy of a turkey, and I don't know what the hell that is. I like it anyway.
They didn't want to eat nothing.
Most people are intimidated by turkey, but you had to have nothing of turkey.
Oh shit. Oh, there you go. David Alfonso's a new member. David, so you obviously haven't won if you're a new member. So David, you'll win. Let's throw you in there. Oh, the Anthony hand Maddie legs. Oh, see, for $5 a month, folks, you can prevent this. We could get Maddie a membership to work out her legs. See, this is actually
and for me to work out my hands.
This is actually a leg from one of the Maddie tribe. She's from a tribe called the Nalegsitol. So that right there is one of the members of her tribe. They don't have knees; they just walk like this. You know, made from real Maddie leg bone tribe people. Yeah.
But anyway, who was it? Oh, says
so Dave Alfonso Alfaro. Okay, Dave. So you win. Valerie Geis wins. You guys win. So send us your information, your shirt size, and your email address, and we'll be sending something to you.
And make sure you send them to the email on the bottom of the screen that's scrolling. It's Josh Turner at prtpodcast.com. Yes. And I think somebody who was Zara Gonzalez, I was in the middle of answering your question about how to become a member. So if you're on an Android, let me see if I can show you. You see the chat box down there, and how like right next to the chat box is like a little like $sign. If you click on that, it'll give you the option to become a member or do a super chat or a super stickers, whatever. You just click membership. If you're on an iPhone, then I think what you have to do is like if you exit out of click the little X on the super chat to on the live chat, and it's going to take you just to the screen right here. There should be a button like next to the subscribe button that says join. It's kind of misleading because you don't know what join means, but join means to become a member, to get a membership. So that's what that is. But I think that's how it works on iPhone. I'm not sure. I don't use those wretched things. I never have and I never will, and I don't know how they work. So there's that. That's that.
I hate iPhones and I hate people do it around me.
Yeah, please don't iPhone around me.
Please.
Do not participate in iPhone around me. I'll become very angry. Anyway,
Jamie Johnson, did you get your stuff? He says, I know that. He says I got mine. Thanks. Good. Okay. Cool. So we need one more person. Chris Lars, do what you got to do, man. I don't judge. I don't do it personally because it raises my blood pressure. But I mean, whatever, man. You do you. I don't judge people for their whatever. Okay, I want to address this. Somebody sent me an email, and I normally don't. A lot of people complain about a lot of stuff, but this guy says that in episode 131, I don't know if he's talking about a podcast episode or if he's talking about a live stream episode, but he says that I said that heroin users are all going to go to hell. And I'm like, what in the hell, no pun intended, are you talking about? Was I joking? Because I don't believe that. I don't know what the hell, what are you talking about? And folks, if you go back and you look, if I did say that, then with my apologies, I don't know what, I don't know. I don't remember saying that, but, maybe I said it in some way. What context was it being used in? Because I'm sorry if I said that and offended somebody.
Oh, I don't.
Okay, Alto Native, you got it. You win. You just joined right now, so you're there. You've never won, so congratulations to you. So, and folks, next on Sunday we'll do it again. But if whoever doesn't, you don't join, you say whatever. I'm just going to go boom, and I'm going to give it to whoever. You know what I mean? Also, Merry Christmas, folks, because we're going to do a Christmas show. Christmas Eve, I believe. What day is Christmas Eve? Let's take a look. I think it's a Tuesday. Isn't it? Tuesday.
Yeah, I think Christmas Eve is Tuesday.
Christmas Eve is a Tuesday. Yep. So there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be with their families and all that stuff, whatever. So we're thinking about we're going to drop an episode probably on Christmas Eve. And if you want to listen to it. You can always listen to it later or catch it whenever if you're with your family. And then Christmas night, we're going to be on the air. We're going to be here. Okay. And then, we're going to do it all over again that Sunday. So, yeah, you're going to get that. So you're going to get PRT. You're going to get it on the 22nd. You're going to get it on the 24th, 25th. And then we're going to be back on the 29th. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 days. 4 days of PRT. Can't beat that, right? So, all right, folks, and we have finally. It took us all this time. I think it's been 4 years since we did Krampus. 4 years, something like that. We have some Krampus stories. Finally, we had to scour the globe, if you believe it's a globe, or the flat, or the globe, or whatever you want to believe.
The dome, or
the dome, or whatever.
Piece of bubble gum, or whatever.
Shoot up bubble gum. We had to scour it, but people gave us enough stories, and believe me, these have been 4 years in the making. Okay, and now we finally have enough to do Krampus, but one person gave us 3. Now, interesting enough, this person has traveled. They are from Germany, but they've traveled all over. And one of the encounters they had themselves, they didn't see this, but they believe that it happened. They believe that they felt the presence or whatever, because it happened to people they were staying with that were actually Dutch, but they were in Iceland. Very interesting. They were staying at like this person's it's not an official resort, but they rented out to their friends. And it's out in the middle of nowhere. And there's like these hot springs. And so they believe that they saw something that looked like that. And it was near Christmas time. It was like a week before Christmas. So I thought that was interesting. But his grandmother, when he told his grandmother about it, because he's a young guy when it happened, he was 27. And he told her, and she's like, I saw Krampus as a child. So I don't know. It could be a German thing. You know how La Llorona is a Mexican thing. This could be a German thing. I don't know. But the bulk of the reports come from German areas. And then one was from the Czech Republic, which is right next door. So anyways, check that out. We're probably, what do you think, Krampus? Well, we should, we do that one for Christmas Eve or Maybe Christmas Eve, right?
Yeah.
So the kids still acting like bad little shits, and then they Christmas. Oh, you want your gifts? You want to get spanking?
Sure.
You want the little tiny hand? You want this? You want the claw? The claw?
Make sure you tell your kids that if they misbehave, they're gonna get stuffed into a sack, beaten, and thrown into a river by Krampus.
Well, that sounds like La Llorona. That's what she did. Threw her kids into the river.
I thought Krampus threw him into a river too after he beat him.
I thought he just beat him. I thought he took him to hell or something like that. It was worse.
I guess probably. I don't know.
Something. There's different stories.
I'm just spitballing here.
Well, that's pretty horrific.
Alto Native. You send your info to the email address that's scrolling on the bottom of the screen. It's like somewhere scrolling around. You see a little banner right there scrolling? It says send your address to Josh Turner at prtpodcast.com. So send your to everyone who won, send your name,
Right,
your mailing address, and your shirt size.
see? Salem Nemesis just said it. Thrown in eternal hellfire after getting beat with chains. Yeah. And actually, he should team up with Santa Claus. And they'd show up, and Santa Claus is like, ho, 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 here's some toys for you. Not you, little Johnny. My friend's going to deal with you in the next room. And he would just take him and beat the shit out of him.
In Finland, don't they have Black Peter?
Black Peter.
Which is like, he's not Krampus, but like he teams up with Santa and like he like beats the bad kids or
just in Finland,
something.
Sweden too.
Yeah, it's like a Scandinavian thing. They call him Black Peter.
Little dickhead kids.
Yeah.
I always thought that was horrible though, because Black Peter, he's just abusing children.
Yeah.
Evil bastard. Freddy Krueger. Anyways, thank you folks for tuning in. We had a great time for an impromptu show. We were here for a business meeting and we were actually late. And it was to sell our land. And hopefully we didn't just screw that up. So please say a prayer, 2 things, that we sell the land, and because it would really help us get on our feet financially, get back on our feet anyway. And then we need to be protected from these people who are throwing curses on us, throwing them at us. and they are bragging and telling people how they're going to do this and going to do that. What is wrong with you, dude?
Yeah.
Just get over yourself.
There's a
dude.
price to pay for all that.
You're going to pay for all that, dude.
And from the looks of it, one of you's been paying. That's why you look like Emperor Palpatine. Face is melting off of your skull.
Oh man. So, anyways, folks, say prayers for the people that are attacking us and PRT. They don't want us to have fun. They don't like that we're over here telling the truth and having fun. They're allergic to the truth and they hate fun. So that's it. So what's going on? And they just can't wrap their mind around that we don't do this for the money. We do it because we enjoy it and we're doing it. They can lie and say they don't, but that's what they do. That's what they're doing it for. We're doing it because we love it. We love talking about this stuff because it's so damn interesting. All right, guys, we love you. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see ya. Where's it at? There it is.